Hey guys, we are live. Let us know if you can
Hello.
hear us.
Hey guys.
Welcome to Burn Adventure. Today we
Hello.
are talking about queer representation on film. So tonight, Mario and I are opening on Hollywood's oldest closets. Don't you think it's interesting how that term has become like you can come out of the closet for
Yeah.
so many different things?
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
where the term originated from.
That would be like a good
If people know, if you guys know in
opening.
the chat, like where the original coming out of the closet came from, let us know.
Just to break the ice, guys.
To break the ice, yes, I'd be curious. Fun fact: break the ice. That's a Shakespearean term. So we're going to be reacting to excerpts from the Celluloid Closet, the landmark documentary based on Vito Russo's history of gay and lesbian representation in American film. And I want to begin with one correction. Queer people did not suddenly enter cinema in the 1990s. They were always there. They were dancing together in some of the earliest moving images. They were hiding inside jokes and gestures. They were disguised as villains. They were usually devoted friends. They were like the lonely woman who never got married. They were the elegant man everyone laughed at. They were present in stories, but they could not have a name, let's say. So we couldn't really name what it was that we were looking at. So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So you guys, this is going to blow your mind because we're going to be reacting to a documentary that's 30 years old.
Yeah.
And it feels like it could have been made yesterday.
Yeah.
Hollywood did not remove queer people from the screen. Hollywood taught audiences to recognize us without allowing movies. And by us, I mean me and maybe some of you watching, or if not, this will be an interesting topic either way. But Hollywood taught audiences to recognize queer people without allowing the movies to admit that what they were showing. So that distinction really does matter. So because representation is only about whether is not about only whether a character appears, it's about if the audience is taught to what they're taught to feel when they see that character.
Yeah.
Like what are they kind of taught to feel, whether it's overtly or whether it's covertly, right? So we're gonna have some really awesome visuals. So you guys don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. This is really cool stuff.
Hello there.
And it's like the audience was supposed to react to gay people. It's like, were we supposed to laugh? Were we supposed to fear them? Were we supposed to pity them, desire them? Or were we allowed to imagine that they survive in the ending even? Like, were they allowed to, like rebel without a cause? Does that ring a bell to anybody? So you guys let me know, because this is going to ring true for a lot of our core audience and for our new people. So y'all let us know. I'd be really, really curious to know what comes to mind when I mention the Celluloid Closet. And if you guys don't know, celluloid, and I'll put chat on screen so you can see it, but celluloid is what you call traditional film, right? It's celluloid.
Like it's actual material.
Exactly, like the material.
Develop the.
It's actually very expensive too.
Yeah.
So that's what celluloid is. So the Celluloid Closet. You guys don't forget to like the video. All right,
so everyone.
That's right. Tonight we will follow the history through the documentary and then continue the story on for another 30 years. So the documentary was made 30 years ago, and that covered almost 100 years of cinema. But we have 30 years since the documentary came out.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of queer stories were actually told after this documentary. But it was showcasing like how hard it took to get to 1996.
Yeah.
And this is a great documentary that was narrated by Lily Tomlin. You know who that is? No. She's a really famous older actress. She was in Grace and Frankie on Netflix. She's in her 80s.
What's her name again? Sorry.
Lily Tomlin.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys can look her up. So tonight we're going to be following the documentary and then continue for the next 30 years after that. We'll move from the coded characters and the production code to the Birdcage, Brokeback Mountain, Carol, Moonlight, Pose, Schitt's Creek, Heartstopper, The Last of Us, Yellow Travelers, Interview with the Vampire, international queer cinema, and the films and series that are appearing now. And I think what's interesting too is that like back then, like it was so exciting to see yourself on screen, and we're gonna be reacting to stuff in the documentary.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sultan. John Scott says, frankly, I fear them. They are out to change the world. LOL. Right. Listen, I think this will really help you frame the way queer people are depicted on screen, I think you're really gonna love it. Whether you're for the cause or against the cause, or just feel like there is no cause now because they're just people. This will kind of blow your mind. But I think we have to like showcase it in snippets so we don't get any
I think it's
infringements.
also important to even just learn about the film history in general as well.
Yeah, learning about film history, like you can't really understand film either without understanding the way queer characters were put on screen.
Yeah.
Because queer people are such a huge part of the filmmaking process.
Exactly.
Whether it's hair and makeup or it's costume design, it was the directors. Yeah, exactly. You know, not to start with the most stereotypical jobs, but that, you know, when we were on FBI, like this wonderful man was a wonderful gay man, and he did the makeup and the hair, and I was like, of course, you know. So we're going to talk about every portrayal that, you know, and classify. You guys can help me classify. Is it like hidden, tragic, free, complicated? So Mario will react. He's never seen this documentary.
Right.
As someone who's never studied this specific aspect of history, maybe you did in school to an extent and on your own. But maybe there was like no class dedicated to like queer people, let's say. But this will blow your mind because the very first film was actually of two men dancing. You know, you could argue that it was like the horse, but that was really like, you know, a little thing that spun around. So, and just, you know, we'll add to the film business and cultural context, and together we're going to ask, how far have we come, and is there, you know, how secure is that progress? And also, you can also question too, like in the chat, you can be like, I don't think this is progress. I'm not going to disagree with you. I want to hear everyone's point of view, but this documentary is really amazing. So part one is going to be reacting to the Celluloid Closet, early cinema, gender play, and the sissy. So this is really cool. All right, so Mario, this is going to be on a little bit of a delay. Almost makes you think you need headphones.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So I don't know. I have headphones here, but does your phone have a headphone jack?
No, I can connect it to the tablet.
Okay, yeah, put it on the tablet. And then John Scott says Queerology 101. If anyone wants to start us off with this first super chat, go for it. Once we get into this documentary, you guys are going to be hooked. This is really, really good stuff. Is he good at performing FBI duties, Jimmy? Sultan on FBI, he did a great job. He had an Italian name too. He was a really awesome. We exchanged numbers. He was a really cool dude. All right. So I'm gonna pull up the opening as Mario gets ready to respond. So Mario is going to be on the same, like, let's say, delay as you guys. So if there's a delay, Mario will be watching it along with you guys.
Yeah. So I'm going to be reacting live with you guys.
Exactly. It's really, really interesting stuff. So you let me know whenever is the video pulled up?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, then we're going to add this to the stage.
Tommy, hit it up. Let's have it.
You guys let us know if you can hear the video.
Yes, I can hear it.
Okay, so this is showcasing an early film. This is probably like 30s, 40s. There's obviously sound here. So we're gonna have to like do it in snippets so we don't get any strikes or anything like that. But this is the very beginning of, and Mario, let me know if the audio is loud enough for the media.
No, it's good.
Okay.
May I click in?
Why, certainly.
So these are little things that they snuck in. So this is like just at the very beginning of the documentary. They like snuck in where these two men are dancing together, which might seem like unthinkable, especially like in the 50s. I think this is before the 50s, but you're about to see they're about to introduce the Celluloid Closet and like what this means. And that music is so classic of the time, right?
Yeah.
Is the music equalized for you? Can you hear it all right?
Yeah.
For me, it's a little low, but just want to make sure.
No, I hear all right, but you can let us know as well, chat.
Yeah. I have it. It says it's maxed out on my end, so we'll see.
Yeah.
If you guys let me know too, if you like this topic also.
Yes.
I'd be curious to know.
Chime in, guys.
Boys will be boys. Woo!
So he says, "Boys will be boys, woohoo!" And he's in front of an entire audience, right? And this time, so this is like swing music. I'm telling you, this is one of the most fascinating documentaries, and this is like we're gonna watch it along with you and accompany. But we're gonna have to start and stop. For it to be a full reaction video, we have to start and stop it, and it requires some understanding on our part as well.
Yeah.
Not all girls are raving bloody lesbians, you know.
That is a misfortune that I'm perfectly well aware of.
So that's the same. Like there's a woman telling the other woman, she says, not all women are bloody lesbians, raging bloody lesbians, And then the other woman says, that's a misfortune I'm painfully aware of, which is like a really like classic way to say that. Hey, Mark Sands, what's up? We're covering a very, very interesting topic today.
What's up,
very interesting. This is something I think about on a daily basis. So you're going to see different images. You're going to be able to recognize if you know your film history. You're going to see like Spartacus. You're going to see like Ben-Hur. That's Ben-Hur there in the middle. So that Vito Russo wrote the book.
She says that I think more of you than I do of her.
Well, you do, don't you?
But we won't go into that. Oh!
So that was Abbott and Costello. So even Abbott and Costello, there was some queer codedness going on in there. And Jimmy just recently auditioned for a movie, and it was like, this is taking us back to the Abbott and Costello days. Two men in a suit having fun.
I think the dynamic of, having two men interact in this homoerotic way, you could say.
It doesn't even have to be erotic. It can be like a bromance, but it's like can be the early days of the way people were dependent on film. Because what he says in there is he says, about a woman, he says, I think of her more than him. And now there's Laurel and Hardy. Is this Laurel and Hardy, John Scott, or was the previous one? I think the previous one was Abbott and Costello, and maybe this is Laurel and Hardy. That basically it's like he says, well, you do, don't you? And it's like, well, we won't get into that. And this will be good for everybody to know. You're right, that was Laurel and Hardy. So Laurel and Hardy was like Abbott and Costello. Very good, John Scott. Very good catch. Nice. Very good first correction. So that was Laurel and Hardy.
Amazing.
Very good, John Scott. Nice catch. All right, here we go.
Go right ahead, boys. Don't mind me.
So these little things that were already in the very earliest days, right? So you got to realize Laurel and Hardy, I mean, they had their height in the 30s. They had Sons of Desert in 1933, Way Out West 1937, The Flying Deuces in 1939, Babes in Toyland in 1934, and Scale the Musical in 1932. I think that one was from 1932 because that was back in the black and white days. But we're gonna keep going. It's saying narrated by Lily Tomlin. Yeah, let us know if you can hear it.
You're a guy, and why would a guy want to marry a guy? Security.
And he goes, and why would a guy want to marry a guy? Security. Like already like playing off of this idea of like what are gender roles? What are gender roles? And you guys, this is very participatory. This is like our type of video. So y'all chime in. We want to hear your comments in the chat because this is really, really fascinating stuff. And we're not pushing any agenda. It's about understanding the history of queer people on screen. It's mind-blowing how early it goes. What was that? That was from Some Like It Hot, I think. I could be wrong. That was like a Marilyn Monroe movie. John Scott, let us know what movie that was.
What I found so interesting, and I think we will see it like more and more, but there was just little references.
And you guys super chat. This is like a fundraiser because we got to get Jimmy back in the studio. And so there's family drama, things like that. And a lot of it has to do with me being the gay black sheep uncle. But he's such a great kid. So y'all, your super chats help with that so much to get Jimmy back.
Yeah.
But go on.
Yeah, I think that, we see these little references, obviously because of the whole stigma, and we will learn about that as well. But I do think that, before, early on cinema, it was just like a reference, right? Like these little things that you catch on film. And
most it was designed to like not be caught, except for by the people who should have caught it.
Exactly.
I think I can't remember this movie. This actress was in Clue, but let's see. You guys can let us know what movies this is referencing to. You this is because it's going to cover hundreds of movies in a very short period of time.
I think that the right woman could reform you.
You know, I think the right woman could reform you too.
So that's such a thing. It's like, I think the right woman could reform you. And he's like, I think the right woman could reform you. And it was like so scandalous and just like, like, like that's so no. Bobby Barra is like Victor Victoria. Very good.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, Bobby Barra. You guys were trying to get Jimmy back. So y'all help us out with super chats. It helps us out a ton. And Jimmy, where he's staying now, they need to get a new kitchen and a new bathroom. And so this is gonna go towards that. So if they're watching, we have some people in the chat who from our hometown. If they're watching this live stream is to help Jimmy where his living conditions, where he's staying now.
It is true, guys. So please, if you're able, please.
Yeah. So that was Victor Victoria.
Okay.
There's also Glenda. There's different things. This is a great documentary. Is the audio of it good? Sounds good. You can hear it. It's not too low. Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
On my clothes.
But why are you wearing these clothes?
Because I just went gay all of a sudden.
So that was Rock Hudson. And that was Rock Hudson. And it was kind of like foreshadowing because Rock Hudson ended up coming out and was one of the most interesting characters. That's right. Bring Jimmy back. 2026 people. Gay is okay. Thank you, Mark Sands. That's right. So that was Rock Hudson. And she's like, I think I just went gay all of a sudden. And that was one of the earliest uses of like gay for being gay and not just meaning happy. Right.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
Hey, Adlad.
Hey, Adlad, how's it going? This is a really fun topic, you guys. This is really fascinating. The Celluloid Closet is one of my favorite documentaries ever. All right, can y'all guess what this is from? Mario, can you guess what this is from? This is a maid who was obsessed with her previous lady of the house who's deceased. It starts with the R. I wrote a script, and one of the characters is named
Rebecca.
Ding, 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 ding. Rebecca. That's right.
Okay.
That's right. We're glad you guys are here. Leave a comment. Let us know. They had a major fit when Peter Pan was being played by a woman. Yeah, Peter Pan has been played on the stage. Peter Pan is historically played by a woman.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It's the mannish woman. This is the archetype of the mannish woman. And here's like the sissy.
In 100 years of movies, homosexuality has only rarely been depicted on the screen. When it did appear, it was there as something to laugh at. Or something to pity. Or even something to fear. These were fleeting images, but they were unforgettable. And they left a lasting legacy.
So yeah, Marlene Dietrich you saw there in one of the early scenes where she it was very, very famous in the 20s, 30s, and 40s to play the mannish woman. And it's going to show you how actually in some ways Hollywood was actually more accepting in the early days. Yeah. Because it showed the sissy, it showed the mannish woman, and then it moved into something, portraying gay characters as more sinister. And there are people like my own parents who grew up being kind of indoctrinated by some of the material that showcased gay people as being the villain, or being a menace.
When did that started to be a thing?
You'll see here, but it really started in the 50s, with the 50s puritanical stuff, because there were so many societal fears already going on.
Yeah.
But I think it may even be slightly earlier. Okay. And then you had a whole cultural revolution as a pushback, but it still never really quite went away. But you'll see here, it's very fascinating.
Amazing. Yeah, so far it's been interesting.
Hollywood, that great maker of myths, taught straight people what to think about gay people. And gay people what to think about themselves.
This was so powerful. I think this is from Boys in the Band. So, and the previous scene was from, I think, Basic Instinct. But it just shows you Hollywood taught society how to view gay people and how gay people to view themselves. So powerful. And if you guys know these movie references, leave them.
Please do so.
Leave a comment. We want to know. We want to know that you guys know the references, because this stuff is, and you guys let us know if you prefer the documentary is the big screen or us as the small screen or big screen.
Yes.
This is a topic that it has to be talked about. We have to talk about this. Thank you, Keith Peavy House. I never dived into this genre of movies. Please don't take away my gay card. What wishes for Jimmy? Keith Peavy House. If there's anything that you want to watch, I promise you, this is going to be so enlightening. Thank you, Keith Peavy House. Appreciate you so much.
Hey, Keith.
Hey, Keith. What's it going?
Thank you.
All right. Says Bobby Barra says, yes, there was backlash in the 50s against Hollywood led by McCarthy. That's right. The McCarthy era was so devastating. All right. But we have to interrupt it periodically because of the way reaction videos have to inherently work, but it's okay because it's for us to be. That's why your comments, we want to be reacting to your comments.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you were able to come. You must excuse my coming in my town clothes, but your chauffeur said there wasn't a moment to lose, so I came just as I am.
Enter the Sissy, Hollywood's first gay stock character.
The Sissy. This is the Hollywood's first gay stock character. I mean, it's the first character that they could bring in and out. So it wasn't offensive. So the first character was not dangerous. It was someone to be laughed at.
I recognize the screen.
This is the gay divorce from 1934.
Sissy made everyone feel more manly or more womanly by occupying the space in between.
Audience would know.
Here, I jumped a little bit. So here we go. So this is the mannish woman that we're seeing here. The clown roles, that's right.
In 100 years of movies, homosexuality has only rarely been depicted on the screen. When it did appear, it was there as something to laugh at. Or something to pity.
This is from the Children's Hour. I've told Mario about the Children's Hour like 100 times, because it's such it's so wild. But that was based off of a book as well. Even in the 1950s, the Hays Code in the 1930s, I believe, made Hollywood more conservative. That's right, Ed Ladd. If you guys like to support the channel and think this is really important for young people to know, and just for everybody to know, please leave your super chats. It's going to this video is going directly to Jimmy, because Jimmy he needs a new kitchen and a new bathroom, and so we need to fix up his house. So, and we have to fix up his living room as well. So you guys help us out. I absolutely love how they painted with light in those old black and white movies. Absolutely, it was. It's so
no
true
way to replicate that nowadays.
Yeah, we could do a whole video on that.
Or even something to fear. These were fleeting images, but they were unforgettable, and they left a lasting legacy. Hollywood, that great maker of myths, taught straight people what to think about gay people, and gay people what to think about themselves. No one escaped its influence.
That's a really powerful point. No one escaped its influence because there was not social media. There were only like one or two mainstream alternative forms of entertainment, like reading, the radio, theater. You know what I mean?
And I think that's like one of the main key points we want to make through this live stream. The idea of how just by being present, it can create like a lot of influence.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, you'll see that people talk about how just by being seen in any way, shape, or form we'd rather be seen in a negative light than not be seen at all. And I think that, I still think whenever we go live or whenever we do stuff, I'm like, part of it is like just being out there and, it's kind of like the old thing, like we're here, we're queer. I think I've avoided this topic because I don't like to identify myself too much with that because I don't feel the need to. But I think people are like, Brent, we relate to you. It's because they're my age and they're like, we know what you've been through. And so it's like, it has to be talked about.
Yeah, I think so.
It has to be talked about. So here we are talking about it.
You cannot deny its influence at the end of the day. And if it's only going to help out to, make it more visible, then that's great.
Yeah. And you guys let us know which one you prefer, if you like it bigger or small.
Movies are part of my life, part of everybody's life. That's where we learn about life. Watching Cary Grant taught me how to behave with a woman, how to get dressed at night, how to go to a restaurant and order dinner.
They're our storytelling. They're the fabric of our.
So that was Tony Curtis. And it's like, it's so true. It teaches you how to be a man or how to be a woman.
True.
And so many men, it's like they, gay men or queer men, whatever, emulate their mother's behaviors.
Yeah.
And so movies do give us an outlet, whether your parents are present or not present. They teach you kind of how to be a man or a woman, or how to be with a man, or how to be with a woman.
Yeah.
How to be intimacy. What is intimacy? What does intimacy look like? I know I'm jumping ahead in time, but holy crap, was Brokeback Mountain a great film? Mark Sands, I agree. We're going to cover that at the end, because this movie is 30 years before today.
Yeah.
This came out. This was finalized and went to the film festivals in January 30th of 1996, and then it was released later that year.
Lives.
This is Armistead
They
Maupin.
show us what is glorious and tragic and wonderful and funny about the day-to-day experiences that we all share. And when you're gay and don't see that reflected in any way ever in the movies, you began to feel that something truly is wrong.
You feel invisible. You feel like a ghost, and a ghost that nobody believes in. There's this sense of isolation.
Join the club, man.
It's so powerful what she just said. Like, you feel like a ghost. There's an isolation, like, by not being depicted in the most powerful medium on the planet. It's so demoralizing, and it's heartbreaking.
I do think that there's this idea of, if like the concept of not being seen, therefore not existing.
That's wild, Keith.
That's real. I mean, so I think it's important to acknowledge it.
Yeah, for real. Keith Peavy House says his brother, he has a twin brother, and his brother writes like his father, and he writes exactly like his mother.
Wow.
And so his brother's straight. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of phenomenons with like twins, because I know a lot of twins where both are gay, and or one is not, and it's very interesting.
That's
Keith.
very interesting.
What do you think, Keith? Do you think it's because you imprint on one parent or the other? We're going to keep going through this, but I'm telling you, this is a great documentary. And y'all let me know if the audio of the documentary is good. And don't forget, you can leave super chats.
And feel free to share your experiences as well.
Yeah, share your experiences. Let us know what you went through. This is a wonderful documentary from 30 years ago.
It's a whole group, that is not represented.
We are pathetically starved for images of ourselves, so much so that a friend will call you up and say, oh, there's this movie you must see. This happened to me. This movie you've got to see. There's this incredible lesbian relationship in it, and there's this great love scene, and all right, they're vampires. But you got to see it. It's great.
There are lots of needs for art. The greatest one is the mirror of our own lives and our own existence, and that hunger that I felt as a kid looking for gay images.
So this is Harvey Firestone, and Mario, I just put you down in the mix because that you were about twice as loud. Okay. Brent is about twice as loud as Mario. Oh, so let me turn you back up, and maybe just talk a little bit louder. Yeah. I just tend to talk loud, so I'm heard, but I can also bring my mic down. Let me know if I should bring my mic down. Here, I brought it down a bit. All right. Here we go. Both my parents are very loving, great childhood. Keith, I really love that. I love that. Yeah. To this day, my mom will not. I've been married for years, and she won't even ask about my husband. So it is what it is. Yeah. All right, you guys, let me know if me and Mario's audio is a bit more equalized.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we need. This is why we do them live.
Was to not be alone.
So this is one of the earliest films ever recorded. It was 1895. In terms of the earliest films that was like decent, and not too visible and not too grainy. And exactly, it was of two men dancing. And not to say that you have to say that that's queer, but obviously there is, because they're dancing. There's a violinist. It's like
they're very close to each other.
Yeah, and it's not like we're trying to like look for things that are not there. But this is a documentary that they did decades and decades and decades of research, 100 years of research for this. You got to realize this movie came out in 1996, and they're talking about content from 1895.
Yeah. So
I mean, this is just an amazing documentary.
But you got to see it. It's great.
There are lots of needs for art. The greatest one is the mirror of our own lives and our own existence. And that hunger that I felt as a kid looking for gay images was to not be alone.
Back to Gizmo, so you know. It's because this is a powerful mic.
My mother.
And I love the creative decision to let that scene play out. Like,
I think,
not like cutting it too quickly, but to show like this is how expensive film was at the time, and they let this play out. This film, this little mini film that they did back in the day.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's kind of reminded me of the return to the short form video, because at the beginning of the Nickelodeons, they were all short.
Yeah, the very early examples of film or this type of short
like
films.
a little experimental Edison type films.
Yeah.
I would say also like talk as much into yours so that our audios are equal. I can bring mine down a little bit more as well. Hello. Here, I brought mine down a bit.
That took me to the silent movies in a spirit of ostentatious condescension. She told me that they were nothing like real life and that I must not believe them. And she was wrong, because everyone who comes from England to America and goes back says one thing first. It's more like the movies than you'd ever dream. And it is.
And it's so powerful. And it was like saying, whenever you go to the Americas, it's like, it's not like the movies. And she says, at that time, it was more like the movies than you could ever dream. This is very giving me Titanic energy.
Yeah.
Like 100 years before maybe even like before they filmed the Titanic, or right after. So this documentary is awesome. Also, trailblazed by Stonewall and the Gay Grandfathers Are Forgotten. There were some brave souls, absolutely.
From the very beginning, movies could rely on homosexuality as a surefire source of humor.
So we're here in the silent era, right? And so gay depiction on film was already in the silent era. If you guys think this is worth talking about, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to
please do so.
Subscribe. And sometimes we'll be silent so you can hear the video. So Mark Sands, if we're silent for a while, that's why. And there's like I think it's like a 5-second delay.
Yeah.
So is the sound dropped out for the? Let's see. These are silent films, so there may not be music. There may be some subtle orchestrations in the back. But y'all let me know. In silent era.
Your ideas about who you are don't just come from inside you, they come from the culture. And in this culture, they come especially from the movies. So we learn from the movies what it means to be a man or a woman, what it means to have sexuality.
Oh, I think we got flagged.
Oh, did we already get flagged? So it won't play any sound?
It says streaming available.
No.
I'm not on stream there. If it's no. I was gonna say if it's like not so serious, I think they can, but they typically make you take it down. Are we back, guys? Yeah. Let us know if you. Let's go. Yes.
Okay, so we're back. We're doing a reaction video. And we're encouraging everybody to know to go watch this.
Yeah, this is commentary 30.
Video. Yeah, we're encouraging everybody to go watch this film. But we're doing a reaction video. So I think it had to do with some of the music aspect.
It might be the music.
It's almost always like music related because like there's some like little things. But you guys, this is why we need your support with the channel, because it's really just me and Mario.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, the family issues are very tragic, and so we actually, I'm trying to help the family. So y'all help us out with your super chats. They help us out so like more than you know. So that we're talking about the queer depiction on screen, which is a very, very fascinating topic. Okay, here we go. So they said, what if nature's mistakes? So that was like, one of the things is like, they were like very open about like, if somebody wasn't too manly or somebody wasn't womanly, that they were like a mistake.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm especially good today. Half my mouth is numb with Novocaine after the dental visit.
Oh.
I have a super lisp. That's hilarious.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith PV House. Thank you, Keith PV House.
I hope
Seriously.
you're having a good recovery.
Yeah, I'm glad you've got the super lisp going on. I think they talk a little bit about that. There's a whole documentary. It's like this called "Do I Sound Gay?"
Oh,
it's a very interesting thing. You guys don't forget to like and subscribe. This channel we're trying to fundraise because Jimmy, we need to finish the kitchen and the bathroom and where Jimmy's living right now. So it'd be really awesome for you guys to help us out. All right.
The movies did provide us with some kind of history of how society thought homosexuals were.
So you're seeing here this idea, like this is a thing in a man and a woman, but the idea that he thinks he's a man. So there's this whole play off of, how was homosexuality depicted? How did they talk about it? And this is a documentary I want everyone to go out and get a copy of, because it's like a thing that's got to be on your bookshelf, because it's going to help you understand the depiction in film forever.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. Gizmo, you're funny. Like, did you have a list before the dentist? All right.
A very good example is a Chaplin film, Behind the Screen. There's an extraordinary moment where Chaplin kisses someone who looks like a man.
Same.
We're back. Gosh.
Hey guys, we're back. We're back. So this is one of the fascinating things. This is about live too, because they have to be like really reactionary.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But we're actually promoting a product. We're promoting media literacy and understanding. So we hope people go watch this documentary.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna play like one little clip at a time, and then we'll talk about it.
It's a woman. And someone else comes along and sees it and immediately starts swishing around in the most kind of overt, effeminate way.
So in this particular case, like this is a Charlie Chaplin film, and the idea that like instead of the guy being, you imagine that the other guy's gonna like punch him out, he's actually kind of like going, oh, I'm like turned on by that, let's say. So that was hey Rob, how's it going? How are you? Rob, we're so glad you're here. So in that little clip, it's showcasing that even in the earliest days, it's like, but it had to all be like very, very subtle, very like under the radar. Rob, we're so glad you're here. Thank you for being here, Rob. So you're expecting this guy to be like the buff guy who's going to be like, you know, maybe punch them out. I think that's what the audience is expecting. But instead, he's like, you've given me license to go have fun and be flamboyant and playful as well. Right. So that's what's kind of interesting about some of these things from the very earliest days of cinema.
You know, and the influence that Chaplin had even back in the day, I think this is just really interesting. Like the fact that even he was, you know, also covering these ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know sometimes how fully aware they were. I think they just knew things were funny.
I mean, you're right. Maybe it was even, you know, I think of a part of their lives as well.
Keith House, it's a good question. I think it has more to do with just like AI, and it's like in detection of content, because people upload entire libraries of content, and so people they don't want you just to be like streaming someone else's content, right? So it's like we're doing commentary and also like lifting this up because this is a piece of art. But I think you make a good point, like how big or how small it is. I think it has more to do with the sounds and just anywhere it is on screen, and like how long it plays before you make your commentary. I think that's a big part of it.
It's fascinating that those stereotypes were so completely in place that a mainstream popular film could assume that the audience would know what this swishy mime was all about.
So this was Charlie Chaplin. So this is a silent film era, and the idea that like he says, like the audience was like smart enough to get it. I don't think that all the audiences were necessarily smart enough to get
it, which was kind of the point, right?
Yeah, I think the people who needed to see themselves on screen, they did see themselves.
Yeah,
but I don't think everybody exactly got what was going on quite there.
And I think that's also valid. The idea of just reading it that way is also very, very true. I mean, it is true that there's readings can be made about films as well, even nowadays.
Yeah, you guys were doing. I'm sending money to Jimmy. So like whatever we make during this live stream, this is going directly towards Jimmy's, where he's living now, his kitchen and bathroom, and they have to redo the living room because they've got to redo that house. So you guys, this is like our big fundraiser day. So help us out
again.
Oh no. I think it has to do with how long an image is on screen.
I know
we're gone right now.
But I'm thinking like what could be the reason. I guess it's the music, but
that is the hilarious. So like, come on.
What if you mirror the screen? Is that possible? Because I've seen like whenever they upload, like
it won't. I mean, I don't think I can do it. I know they're gonna let us back again because it's like, I think it's so. But I don't see a mirror button for this. I see it for different things. So we're back. Okay, hey guys, we're back.
Hello.
Hello, are we back?
Wait.
Or are you just frozen with you? No, I think we're back. Okay, hey guys, we are back. So we're reacting to and we're promoting the Celluloid Closet. It says, would it be helpful to start a new stream? Would it help if it were chaps? If I wear chaps? Keith Phoebe, you're hilarious. I think this is also like, this is kind of the dilemma that you run into in terms of like, these clips are over 100 years old and it's still, but it has to do with some of the music. So I can mute some of this stuff, but it's some of the commentary is very helpful. So you guys, let's reach our super chat goal. Let's reach our super chat goal because we're truly doing a fundraiser for Jimmy here.
Yes.
So that was a little clip from Charlie Chaplin. And Charlie Chaplin is obviously like one of the greatest comedic icons out there ever.
True.
I just wanted to say something. I'm straight, but I don't care who is gay or lesbian. But you're like friends. Someone's sexual preference has nothing to do with the person's character. Absolutely, Rob. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And Rob, we've talked to you about like the housing situation since our house burned down. But where he is now, where Jimmy is now, they need a kitchen and they need about $100,000 to fix their house. And so I'm just doing any and everything that I can to raise money to send that way. So and they're really going through it. So you guys, thank you for being here. It says change the pitch of the film up or down, also a few bars. Yeah, AG Play, I want to do that, but I already have it in my little program here. So I'm going to try to play little snippets. But if it does this is why like people are forgetting history too, is because it's like you can't show any history. So this is like the true problem with AI too, is like everything's generative. So you're allowed to train everything off of the past stuff. But the problem is that I'm actually like, it's almost like I'm doing an infomercial for this documentary. You know, it's just so sad how we're kind of in this weird like gray area of like of understanding like what it is, like what is the, you know, it's not necessarily being used for good all the time. It's like having the opposite things.
Yeah.
If it gets fixed up, does that mean Jimmy will never come back? You know what? I don't know. No, I don't think so. I mean, remember, we got to realize he's 14. He's on the verge of being an adult. I mean, he could be like an emancipated minor at 15. At the very minimum, Jimmy's biological mother had oxygen deprivation, so she's legally mentally deficient. She can't function, and so my mother, which is Jimmy's grandmother, takes care of Jimmy's biological mom. And so Jimmy's DNA is perfect. It's just that his mom, who is my sister, is living in the house, and the house needs work. And so it's just one of those things. And it's like, you know, I you know, try to hide it, you know, but it's like, I can't, because we need community support. So it is what it is. Kiss of Life says, what happened? He says, let's see, what did I miss? Where is Jimmy living now? He's in Texas right now, but there's just a lot of family drama, but they need to get their house fixed up at the very least. So my concern is for Jimmy's well-being overall. All right.
Ernest.
Dear Ernest.
So this is from 1933. It's Our Betters. And so this is like this is almost 100 years ago now, right? And so we're dealing with imagery of like cross-dressing, of like this idea of playing with you know, gender norms, cross-dressing, expectations, and the humor that comes with that. And so at the early days of Hollywood, the gay people were the men were the sissies, and then you had the mannish woman, and then it became something else. It became something darker as we moved into the 50s, let's say. If you guys would like to leave super chats, we're at 4 out of our 20 goal.
Please do so, guys.
Yeah, but this is a super interesting topic.
Dear Lady Greyston.
Ernest, I'm so happy you were able to come.
You must excuse my coming in my town clothes, but your chauffeur said there wasn't a moment to lose.
So I should just stop, right? Like,
I mean, we could just.
it's so I'm
talk about
I'm
it.
playing such tiny little clips.
I mean, we can just talk about it. I think that they are enjoying the topic. So maybe you can just show like literal frames, like pause the.
Maybe if I just turn the music off. I'll have to take it off because it's like I don't want to. Because Keith says strike 4. Oh, it says stream suspended for policy violations. Is that what it said before though?
No, I mean, to me it still says stream unavailable. Oh well, stream suspended. Yeah,
It was the same thing for last time.
Yeah, it's always said that. We're back.
Hey guys, we're just going to use queer images to walk through queer representation on screen. And that's sad because this stuff, this is the problem, is that this is why young people are also not learning history too, is because like they don't have access to it in the same way.
Yeah, if there's not even a place where you can discuss ideas.
It's very sad.
Again.
Yeah,
thank
it's
you,
very
Mark
sad.
Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands. Thank you so much. This is not stopping me.
That's great.
Thank you. I don't see any strikes or anything. I think it's very interesting because this stuff is over 100 years old. You guys don't forget to subscribe to the video if you're here
please
too.
do so.
This is the first time we've had that. Yeah, it's just AI. It's just sad because this stuff is so old. But I'm gonna get some images, so don't worry.
But thank you guys for being here, and I know that this is such an interesting topic because I've seen the,
What's funny is that this documentary has been like illegally uploaded to YouTube. That's what doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
that's what doesn't make any dang sense.
It's there. I guess it's just how things are.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's been uploaded already, so it's very strange.
But thank you, Rob. Thank you. YouTube uses AI to do its governing. Yeah. Thank you, KPB House. He said,
thank you.
YouTube needs a.
Listen, it was uploaded 7 years ago, and it was
it
was on a channel, and it was literally, they didn't have the rights to do it. So
yeah, you can look it up, guys. After the
wild, Brave New World.
Yeah.
Okay, so. But basically, Hollywood, it went through these different phases.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby Barra. Y'all are amazing. Thank y'all so much. I hope Jimmy's here. Thank you, Rob. I hope Justice for the Lawnmower Man is here. I hope Martha Paxton's here. We're fundraising for their house. They need to get some work on it.
Thank you, Rob.
It helps us out a ton. So thank you guys so much. So part one, we're going to go through all the eras, and so. Some of the earliest references you saw in there, like you saw like little things that Ben-Hur, like Spartacus, and it's such a fascinating topic. It really, really is. All right, so we saw this same-sex guys dancing on screen, the silent era gender disguise, the comedic effeminacy, the recurring sissy character. Like glamorous women in masculine clothing, like you said, you saw Marlene Dietrich, things like that. Thank you, Rob. You're amazing. Thank you so much. So I'm really hoping we can get Jimmy back here too as well, so that he can he brings such a great energy to him. But these are topics too he made that are kind of going over his head too. So this is a good topic to cover while he's gone. And early film sometimes looks like suspiciously fluid because of the visual language.
Yeah.
It had not been like fully standardized yet. Like there was cross-dressing, there was theatrical gender play, physical closeness, could appear for comedy, spectacle, or novelty. But appearance, it wasn't like automatically liberation, let's say. The sissy is generally, it functioned as, so the sissy character, and I'll pull up a picture of the sissy. How would you describe the sissy, Mario?
It's like this characterization of men having features that are usually attributed to women, like makeup. Like, I mean, it's interesting because the 1920s movies have like this heavy makeup in both men and women because of the heavy lights that they used to light up sets, and the cameras that were, you know, not as detailed as they are now. So they both had to use this heavy makeup. But even the characterization of the Sissy was even heavier in terms of the makeup, and maybe the hairstyle as well. They use these very bold eyebrows, black eyebrows, and even lipstick. You know, the contour, the shadow around the eyes, maybe. And they obviously, you know, acted feminine, quote unquote.
Right.
And which was obviously a way to, you know, exacerbate the feminine traits that are attributed to queer people or gay men.
Thank you, AG Play. So here's I think this is Katharine Hepburn. But this is like the kind of the opposite of that. Like this is part of like this is the mannish woman. And this is definitely like the idea of like the woman who's gone full on, you know, there's even cartoons of the mannish or of these different characters. Which is this is why this documentary is so helpful. YouTube has got to get it together because they've got all this stuff that's on there that's someone's uploaded the entire documentary. But here's a sissy version of the cartoon. But it's like the guy who's like has his hand on his hip and he's limp wristed. He's got his you know, he's flamboyant, very much like Tammy Faye Baker. So Tammy Faye Baker was the wife of a very famous televangelist, and she like had a big heart for the gay community because she had these big giant eyelashes, and it looked like she was doing like whenever she would, you know, open up her eyes, it was like this. But there's the idea of the sissy, and their entire video is like dedicated to the sissy. And so I'm gonna put one more picture of a sissy.
And I mean, I'm not sure we will get to the opposite one, but the opposite one would be how's it called? I'm forgetting.
For men or women?
For women.
That was the mannish woman.
The mannish woman. Yeah.
Like there was a sissy and the mannish woman.
Just yes.
These are depictions of the sissy. These are depictions of the sissy. And then this is like a depiction of a mannish woman. And so a lot of it had to do, like for men, there was some cross-dressing, but for the women, it was more cross-dressing.
That too, like more heavy clothes, let's say like shirts, jeans, that weren't usually, you know, attributed to the women in the 1920s as necessarily, because they also had like very, very thin, you know, eyebrows, women in general in the 1920s. But now we see like a more bold look as well with the mannish women. So that's really interesting. And obviously the short hair, but stylized in a way that is not like the clean look that you see on women on films.
Right.
So
this is why this documentary, I want to buy the rights to this documentary because it's been virtually forgotten over over history, over time. Thank you guys so much. This is why we need also another person on the team to help us out with production, because it's hard for us to be the host and to do everything. But we appreciate you guys being here for the journey and like as we grow, because it's such a it's so refreshing when you guys are down for the journey with us. It's just
thank you, Bobby.
Literally so amazing.
Thank you. Yes, let's hope so. Now,
what did he say?
He said, "I have to pick up kiddo. I'll look to see if you are all here when we get back."
Yeah, 10 hours late. Listen, we're doing a fundraiser for Jimmy's Kitchen and Bathroom. So here's another example of the mannish woman.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting to see, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to analyze it from the historical point of view of fashion as well.
Right.
It's very, very interesting.
So let's see if it still does it, even just like showing these types of things. So they talk about, you know, the mannish woman. Here's the sissy. They're different, you know, Whoopi Goldberg talks about it. Here's like a fabulous musical number that was done with the sissy here. And like they're doing this fun little playful thing, and it's like a representation of like the sissy was there, the sissy was a part of cinema, but the sissy was ultimately harmless, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the thing in the early days of cinema. The sissy was ultimately harmless,
Yeah,
right? But it started to morph into something else. Susie Bright was a person who contributed to the film. She did a great job talking about like how we were just starving to see ourselves on screen.
Yeah. And how if you're not seen, it feels like you're a ghost even
exactly
within society.
And then it became like talking about what was restricted during like the Code era. And so the Code era to, you know, open mouth kissing, lustful embraces, you know, perversion, seduction, you know, the R word, you know, abortion, all these different things were part of the production code. And it's like you couldn't do these things. You couldn't portray these things on screen because at the time they were considered too, you know, too scandalous, let's say. And then it morphed into like, and when that happened, it's like we started to depict queer people on screen as like straight up villains. This is one of the first examples where it was like true villain. You know what I mean? Like true villain behavior. Like this woman is freaking out.
Can you expand a little bit more about the code?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the years and the
yeah.
origin. Another thing that the code also provoked was it also helped create like a more subtle cinematographic language of trying to hint these little metaphors here and there, just so it wasn't, you know, scandalous enough for people to notice. And then it created like this idea that was more subliminal, let's say, or more or less direct.
Yeah.
So I think that's also very cool to notice that in the 50s movies.
The production code, it was the motion picture production code, also known as the Hays Code, because Hays was the guy who was in charge of it. It was a set of moral guidelines that governed Hollywood film from 1934 to 1968. It was drafted in 1930 and rigorously enforced. It dictated what was morally acceptable on screen, strictly prohibiting profanity, suggestive dancing, nudity, illegal drug use, and scenes that made crime or evil look like sympathetic in any way. So major film studios created the code to self-regulate. So the code itself was actually made by the studios to self-regulate. Because there was the Hays Code, but it was just before the government really started stepping in. But it was a moral guideline that governed Hollywood films, but it wasn't necessarily from the government. So major studios created the code to self-regulate the industry to avoid government-run censorship, which is ironic because we're kind of experiencing that on this live stream. So its core principles were no film should lower the moral standards of the audience, which now, I mean, if you talk about society standards, like that's gone out the window, right?
Yeah. There's no
girl damn. Yeah. There's so many things. That was one of on that list. Correct standards of life should be presented. Law should not be ridiculed, and sympathy should not be created for its violation. Which I think you're seeing that's obviously gone out the window, because you see movies where like someone commits a crime, and if they pay for that crime, it's like, you know, we're like, we feel bad for the characters type of thing.
We see explicit.
In some ways, it's like we've turned the code on its head.
Yeah, we see so many explicit scenes of, you know, every single one of the things mentioned in that list that is no longer, you know, thinkable that it cannot be made.
This is Marlene Dietrich. But I don't know what you said about the Lily Tomlin. Pink ladies weren't scary. Have y'all seen Grease with John Travolta? Yeah, the pink ladies were but they weren't scary. They were like on the other side of the. And this Marlene Dietrich's character goes up and gives somebody a kiss, and like nobody responds. No one's like, oh my gosh. No, like they're like it was part of the movie, and it was actually had its charm. But it was just, but if you were watching this stuff at the time, it was so liberating. But then as we moved forward, the gay characters became like the villains. And this is whenever you had, this is this stuff here, all these different things. And so there was the government. This is actually somebody from the studio. I'm afraid to play any sound from it at all.
Yeah.
But this is where this woman here and this scene, she's this is from a very, very, very old film, but she's just looking longingly into the other woman's eyes, and the other woman just like freaks out because it's like it's seen as like a woman on woman like seduction, let's say.
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting to explore these things. And I hope YouTube, if you're listening, that you understand that we are educating in a positive way.
We're doing analysis.
Yeah. I think we're like at the mercy of the AI system. So, but in this here, see how, do you see her? She just looks on in horror. Like she freaks out. She's like, starts getting closer and closer to her. And then she just freaks out. You see how it just goes in and you just hear like a scream.
Yeah.
And then the camera angle just moves up to, the camera angle moves up to this mask.
True. Yeah.
So it just shows like the horror of it all. This is Rebecca. Rebecca is a really, really famous, iconic movie. You know, you have the woman who's, so you get the production code. The production code was also known as the Hays Code from 1934 to 1968. And it was drafted in 1930, and it was very rigorously enforced at this time. So, and the three things were: no film should lower the moral standards of the audience, correct standards of life should be preserved, and 3, laws should not be ridiculed, and sympathy should not be created for its violation. I love how y'all are talking about the pink ladies from Greece. I love it. Yeah, Stockard Channing is amazing. Stockard Channing, by the way, is coming back from Practical Magic 2 because she's one of the ants. But she was a little kid in Greece. But Rebecca, if you guys know Rebecca, leave it in the comments. Yeah, Rebecca is good. And they actually remade Rebecca with Armie Hammer. But
available again.
This is an example of like, you know, phallic stuff going on in cinema. So this guy is like holding this, and see how he has this. He has this
stream unavailable again.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nuts. Well, no wonder young people are not learning about history. It's like that they're doomed to never ever. So I can't. I just take it off the board. That's so strange.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're back. We're back.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you guys for standing by. YouTube, we are just doing commentary and analysis. And educating.
Yeah, so like the image that I had on screen was from the Maltese Falcon, and there was a scene where it was showing the way that things were being very suggestive at the time, and it was a way to work around the production code. It was a way to work around the production code. Adlad, no, I don't think it would help to restart the stream. And the reason why is because basically I may just end up deleting it. So you guys enjoy the stream now, because we'll probably do this again, but just through images. Does that make sense? But right now we're really in a desperate situation to help Jimmy with his housing. So we just have to go live for him. But this right here, this is like an image from the Maltese Falcon. And this was like a very like queer coded thing. Him having his, what do you call that? A staff or a walking stick, or but he's putting it in his mouth, and so it was very like suggestive of the time, let's say.
Yeah.
So
there was this reference, to the shape of things in order to create a metaphor for something else as well. That's very present.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the idea of, things being phallic or things being considered. It's so strange though, too, like why that's getting flagged. It doesn't really make sense. Another famous film that was under the production code was Rope, which we've talked about. Rope.
Yeah.
And so Rope was a film by Hitchcock, and that showed that was a gay relationship that Alfred Hitchcock chose to depict on screen. But they never explicitly say that it's homosexual, right? And I think to this day we're still like starving for like our experience. What is our experience? What is the gay experience for, let's say, for you? And so here's an image from Rope, and they live together. There's obviously like a romantic thing going on here, but it's like all kind of said through coded language, through subtext to get past the censors.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, even the idea of two men living together was unthinkable at the time, maybe. So, and you see these films from many years ago, and you realize, oh, they were trying to say something beyond only the visible things.
Right, exactly. And there are so many different things. I think what the tragedy of like them not allowing like us to show like little clips is that it doesn't really make sense, first of all. But there's also just like Rebel Without a Cause, the scene with that someone uploaded in, like it said all the scenes that had were queer coded for Rebel Without a Cause. Somebody uploaded it, and it was over 18 minutes. And it was and all the comments were saying, if there's 18 minutes of your film that are completely, then it's like it's a gay film. And I was like, there's some truth there. But I think that not everything is just explicitly one thing or the other. I think that some of that queerness is sometimes it's like playing with the in between.
Which I think it's interesting, the nuance. Nowadays, maybe not for queer films, but for films in general, we are lacking some nuance and some subtlety to things, to metaphors. So I think that actually might be beneficial for films as in general, as a general thing nowadays. But it's still, we kind of understand the reason why these films had to do it that way, in these historical films. And so if you guys,
so here's an example of a clip of Rebel Without a Cause, and you kind of see that the other guy is lusting after James Dean's character. So there's this stuff that goes on, and then there's this scene where they're outside his house, and the other guy's trying to get into, he's like wants to kind of stay over, and he's like, go home, I'll see you tomorrow. But he goes into the house, and he goes around the house, and he's like drinking milk. And actually never thought about that until this video like pulls it up. But he goes right into his house, and he's just walking around drinking milk like this. And he's got this giant jug of milk, and it's like that in and of itself could be, let's say queer coded.
Exactly.
So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, as I was saying, like the metaphor for things, the shape, the suggestion that some things imply just by the nature of their physicality is interesting.
Right.
And Adlat is saying Rope is an amazing film. But even more, I love Strangers on a Train. I haven't watched that one, Adlat, but Rope is like one of the bigger examples of this early queer representation on film, which Hitchcock is also known for, I think, with Rebecca as well. But I have to still watch. I love Strangers on a Train.
He's like Strangers on a Train. Yeah. And then I'll pull up, I actually have a picture that we pulled up from Ben-Hur the other day, and it was because in that because we were talking about dark fantasy, and it was interesting because it's like that was never the topic, but it's like sometimes exploring these other topics, they're in there. But in terms of like Ben-Hur, there was definitely stuff in there that was queer coded. This also, you guys, what's interesting about live streams too is it's like it shows like the importance of editing and like how you put something together. And I think with live streams, like they're much more like restricted because of the fear of something, you know, of unintentional infringement. So they just like turn it black, you know, to prevent said thing being put up. And let me find it here.
I think so a lot. I mean, yeah, I think it's known.
But in 1959's epic film Ben-Hur, it contains a deliberate hidden gay subtext regarding the relationship between Ben-Hur and his rival Masala before like their big race. While nothing overt is stated, the dialogue to comply with the conservative Hollywood production code of the era, the romantic undertones were intentionally written and acted into the opening acts of the film. So the backstory of the depiction was famously revealed by the prominent author and screenwriter Gore Vidal in the 1995 documentary The Celluloid Closet, because one of the actors who was in it, he actually talked about it, and he was saying that the director William Wyler felt this script lacked depth, compelling motivation to justify why childhood friends would suddenly turn into bitter lifelong enemies over minor political differences. So Vidal suggested that Judah and Masala had been romantic lovers during their youth, and the intense hostility begins when they reunite as adults. Masala attempts to rekindle their relationship, but Judah rejects him. So Wyler agreed to the premise on the condition that it remained entirely subtextual. And in fact, they didn't really even tell like Charlton Heston's the actor, like he wasn't in on it. So it's like everyone else knew about it. So it was a really, really fascinating thing. And that's something that they talk about in this film that they, for some reason, is so like they won't let us play. For some bizarre reason, like not even little clips of it. But Stephen Boyd's character Masala, he was fully informed of the gay subtext by the director William Wyler. He was instructed to play the scenes as burned, heartbroken lover. This manifests an intense, lingering, and highly charged look at Judah. And then Charlton Heston was deliberately left completely in the dark. And Wyler and Vidal knew, and Heston, who's a staunch political conservative, they said he would fall apart or walk off the set if he knew that he was potentially playing a queer character. And Heston shot his scenes believing it was simply a traditional story of male brotherhood and betrayal. And so it's really, really, really fascinating. And that's what they explore in this documentary, which is interesting because the documentary it's been uploaded so many different times onto YouTube by people who don't own it. So I don't know why it's giving us trouble, but who knows? Maybe you guys know. If y'all are experts on these topics, let me know. Yeah, but that's from 1959. And then you have The Mannish Woman, and there are characters by Doris Day. There are characters by Katharine Hepburn, and how they went out into the West and they played these Western characters. Really, really fascinating ways they did this. And then there was Rock Hudson. Do you know who Rock Hudson is?
I would have to look him up. Just I'm pretty sure I know him, but
Yeah. So Rock Hudson, he was the guy who was in that clip where he's like, I don't know, I went gay all of a sudden. And he was a heartthrob. There's a scene with him and Doris Day in the back of a cab. But Rock Hudson is a famous icon, and he actually ended up passing away from AIDS in the early days of the AIDS crisis. But he was just a huge movie star, and he was in several movies with Doris Day. And then Tony Curtis was in a movie with I believe it was Marilyn Monroe. I think it's Some Like It Hot, where they're like cross dressers, and there's so much play going on in there. And then there's Spartacus, which Tony Curtis was in as well.
So the movie with Marilyn Monroe is Una Eva y Dos, Some Like It, yeah, hot. Some Like It Hot, yeah. I haven't watched that one, but it's been on my watch list. Guys, if you have recs, let us know. If you know about the movies that were known for this back in the day, let us know. Hey, David Young.
Hey, David Young, how are you?
Hello. So, Midnight Express.
All right, so I'm going to go through these pictures because I've got to reset my. This is why I was using that as a reference.
Yeah.
But we have the sissy, we have the mannish woman. These are the early days, and then like when the movies like Rope came around, or like you saw that clip of the woman who was like coming closer to the other woman, and it was like showcasing like how gay people were depicted as like villainous or like inherently like predatory, things like that. That's where like Rope came in, and that's where like this is when the code came in, and so then the characters had to become more and more subtextual. Like with Rebel Without a Cause, you almost miss it if you don't really know what you're looking for.
Yeah,
but there's definitely like coded things going on in there. So, but Rebel Without a Cause, I mean, there's their entire videos. I think if you edit it beforehand and upload it, then you can get away with it. And then there's Rock Hudson, who's here. And then I'm going to upload a picture from Spartacus.
So Rob asked, do you feel when someone came out and said they were gay back in the day, it shortened their career?
Of course.
Or damaged
it just ended your career back at this time. It would end your career. Rob, it would just completely end your career. So back then, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even to this day, like there are major stars who are still in the closet. You know, I'm not going to name names because to this day, it's some of your favorite movie stars are. So this was a scene from Spartacus.
Yeah, that's famous.
Yeah, a real famous scene. So,
guys, have you seen Spartacus?
So, like this is actually a Stanley Kubrick film, if you can believe it. So this is from 1960, and in this film, it centers entirely on a highly influential, coded, and once censored homoerotic scene between the wealthy Roman general Crassus, played by Laurence Olivier, and his slave Antonius, played by Tony Curtis. And so there was like a scene about snails and oysters in this particular famous scene that you're seeing the picture for. The core depiction occurs during a bathhouse scene written by screenwriter Dalton Trumbo. While Antonius bathes Crassus, the general engages in a thinly veiled philosophical seduction using a food metaphor to describe orientation. Crassus asks Antonius if he considers the eating of oysters to be moral and the eating of snails to be immoral. So while Antonius answers it is merely a matter of taste, Crassus replies, "My tastes include both snails and oysters." So the metaphor subtly suggests Crassus, going both ways, and his expectation that his servants please him in that way. And so the censorship in the Hays Codes, because Hollywood operated under a strict censorship of the Hays Code at the time, on-screen depictions of homosexuality were completely forbidden. So there was a cut. The studio executives forced the filmmakers to delete the scene before the film's 1960 release. But in 1991, the scene was finally restored because the original audio tracks for the scenes had been lost. Tony Curtis re-recorded his lines, while Anthony Hopkins was brought in to voice the deceased Laurence Olivier. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
So in 1991, but it just shows you how like these actors were willing to come in here and re-record the lines because of a scene that had been was left literally on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. But I'm glad that they added later back on.
Yeah. So in the context of the 1960s Hollywood filmmaking, the character's queerness was intentionally tied to moral corruption and the elite Roman decadence. So by portraying the aristocratic villain as bi, the film contrasted the corrupt, fluid, sensuality of upper class Romans with the traditional heteronormative family values championed by the rebellious slaves. So it was very, very, very interesting. It was very interesting. So, and again, we started this stream. You guys enjoy this stream, and y'all leave super chats because this stream is going to be deleted. And the reason why is because I'm going to go through and we're going to redo it.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to upload it not as a live video. Thank you so much. Appreciate you so much. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Rob, thank you so much. Seriously. You're amazing.
Thank you, Rob.
So there's all this stuff that happened in that scene. There's a famous movie. It was called Suddenly Last Summer, and it has Elizabeth Taylor, and it's from 1959. And in that film, Elizabeth Taylor's character is talking about like an angry mob that ends up like killing her her friend while they're on vacation. And it's because of his queerness. And so, and whenever she's trying to they're telling her to like forget it and to get over it. And she says, the only way I'll forget it is if you have my brain cut. So it was like a very, very famous scene. Then there's the movie, The Children's Hour.
Thank you so much, Keith.
Thank you guys so much.
That's sad whenever the target is the queer person or the dumb woman. it's a thing that these movies used to do, but I guess it's just like a way of saying these are the vulnerable groups, maybe. But just the idea of seeing that on film as well is...
Well, one of the things about The Children's Hour, this other film, is that because Katharine Hepburn, by the time they made the documentary, Audrey Hepburn had already passed away, but Shirley MacLaine is still alive. And Shirley MacLaine, she said that there was a lot of queer codedness going on in the film, but she said they never talked about it. She was like, can y'all believe that? We never talked about it. And it was like the whole kind of point of the film, and how it was it just like really, really fascinating. The idea that, the whole movie, what the premise was, they never discussed it. They just acted out the scenes.
Yeah.
But it's known as a landmark 1934 stage play written by Lillian Hellman, and it celebrated a 1961 psychological drama film adaptation by William Wyler. Again, William Wyler. So he obviously liked these topics. The narrative centers on two headmistresses whose lives, careers, and relationships are systematically destroyed after a vindictive, malicious student falsely accuses them of having a lesbian affair. So they don't actually have a lesbian affair, but a little girl who's like in the school, like accuses them of that. But at that time, the stage play was written in the 1930s, and the film was made 30 years later. About how like it was such a scandal, like their entire lives are just torn apart.
Yeah.
And so there are little clips from the movie that are just. She says, I can't tell it. They're in the back of a carriage. She goes, just tell me. And the little girl whispers in her ear, and the mom's like, she's like, what? And they stop the carriage, and it just shows like what a scandal it was. And it wasn't actually even real. But in the movie, Shirley MacLaine's character actually is and has feelings for Audrey Hepburn's character, but Audrey Hepburn's character doesn't
it's not reciprocal.
Yeah, it's not reciprocal. So it's interesting how but both of their lives are destroyed in it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the idea that it was like an unspoken thing, but I do think that that's how many people also live their lives if they feel that they cannot truly be safe in the environment that they are on.
Absolutely.
Which is so sad. But is Jennifer Garner related to James Garner? I would have to look that up, Rob.
No, I don't know. And there's another movie called Advising Consent. It's from 1962.
Yeah. Outloud said, I don't think they are, but not 100% sure.
Yeah, I would gather to say no, but it's possible.
Guys, if you have any more film recommendations that are, that
yeah, and you guys can leave a super chat. We're actually going to redo this and upload it. But here's advising consent. Here's an image from advising consent. So,
oh yeah.
So in this film, so there was a queer scene in this film. It's from 1962. It's a political drama. It's a landmark moment in cinematic history. It features the first explicit depiction of a gay bar in a mainstream post-World War II American film. This is where a guy's talking to his wife about the incident, and she's like, she's like, "What's going on with you, boo?" Keith Fifias, you're funny. The plot centers around a married U.S. Senator, Brigham Brigg Anderson, played by Don Murray, who is appointed to chair a subcommittee vetting a controversial Secretary of State nominee. After Anderson refuses to cooperate with the ruthless political faction, Senator Fred Van Ackerman blackmails him with evidence of a past consensual homo affair during his military service in the Korean War. Panicked and desperate to stop the blackmail from ruining his life, marriage, and career, Anderson travels to New York City's Greenwich Village to track down his former lover. And there's a famous gay bar scene in Club 602. And so Anderson, his search leads to him to Club 602. It's a fictional underground gay bar because at the time gay bars didn't exist, right? The scene is representing a fractured, highly stylized aesthetic. It features flashing, swirling lights, bartenders, a distorted romantic jukebox song plays in the background. And I'll pull up a picture for you.
Yeah.
This is why I'm like, dag nabbit, they took away my ability to play the whole point of it. But you get to see like what the gay bar looks like, because this is like groundbreaking for the time, for 1962. Like the film was like, it was in that time.
I do remember watching some 1950s films that were very subtle in the way they tackle these topics. One of them was about like,
this one was
guys in a prison.
Oh, really? Here's the image here. So this is a scene whenever he arrives at the bar. This is from 1962, a political drama. This is advising consent. And this is a very famous scene because everyone in the bar like turns around. Everyone in the bar turns around and they're all men. Right? Like they're all dudes.
Yeah.
So it's like implicit in and of itself. So it's almost shocking that this film got out. That they actually let this film get out, because this guy tracks down this dude to prevent being blackmailed. And so the individual holding the blackmail material is coded as shady underground pimp figure, reinforcing the areas. So the reason why they were able to get away with it is because the gay character who's like blackmailing him, he's like seen as like a shady, nefarious character. And so this is where we move into the era of film where it's like they were, it moved from being like the sissy and the mannish woman to being like they're predators. They're here to like destroy, things like that. And so it reinforces the era stereotypes that queer networks were inherently criminal, exploitative, and dangerous to national security and the family union and just societal structure. And the film mirrors like real world anxieties of the lavender scare. So there was the Red Scare, like about communism, but there was also the lavender scare. So have you heard of this?
No.
It was the mid-century moral panic where gay government officials were systematically fired out of fear that secret lives made them easy targets for enemy blackmail, which actually, if you think about it, makes sense.
It does.
Because they were so worried that the lavender scare, it was like, in a way, it's like they didn't really care if so-and-so was gay or that person was gay, but it made them highly susceptible to be blackmailed because it was so taboo in society. It's like, well, we're going to just show you, pictures of that person, kissing someone or doing something that's inappropriate. And in that way, we'll be able to extract, let's say, government secrets from that person. It makes sense. That actually happens to this day.
Yeah, there's like a restriction still to services or things in general.
Yeah. So this is from the era of like saying like, if you're gay, you're going to like, society is going to punish you. you're going to be miserable and you're going to die. Right. And so that was like the children's hour was an example of that, because Shirley MacLaine's character offs herself. And that's where we moved out of, this is part of the, like, okay, you can show it, but you have to show that there are societal, very real consequences for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's interesting about these types of things. This is the Maltese Falcon. So this guy, he goes into the gay bar, and it's like, it shows them all, like, it's very seedy, underground. You know, maybe it looks a bit inoffensive to today, but with the noir aspect to the film, it was kind of saying that what they're doing was like inherently like shady.
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting. And this film ended up kind of changing the production code a little bit, because they and it was actually inspired by a real life political story. So there's so much I could go on about that.
It's interesting that these two movies that we covered were, you know, based on something else. I haven't seen that last one. It sounds really interesting though.
So the film with Elizabeth Taylor, Suddenly Last Summer, and you guys participate in the chat. Let us know what queer films you like. Most people who are watching are going to have more relevant, or more recent, I should say, examples of like what is like queer film, because we're looking at like how it got to today. And now you have stuff like Call Me By Your Name, which is actually what, 12 years old now. I don't know, how old is that?
9 years old.
9 years old.
Yeah.
And these other things like Moonlight and things like that. But in some ways, these other films had much more of an impact because they allowed us to usher in the era that we live in now. And it was such more, you know, there was an actual risk there. I mean, there's probably a risk to this day. Like, a lot of characters don't play gay characters, but then there's also the argument that it's like blackface. It's like that you want, you know, do gay characters have to play gay? I don't think so, but what's your thought on that?
Yeah. So that's why I was also interested in you guys letting me know which films of the time you've seen, like from before the 2000s. I was curious if you have any more recs. I have seen Grease. I saw you guys talk about Grease. It's a very fun watch.
So the Suddenly Last Summer, it's about Elizabeth Taylor's story. There's a wealthy widow. She tries to force a doctor to lobotomize her niece. And the niece is Elizabeth Taylor, because she knows the horrifying truth about how the widow's son died. And the plot deals with heavy suppressed themes of queer subtext and even cannibalism, if you can believe it. But Katharine Hepburn's in the film, Elizabeth Taylor's in the film, Montgomery Clift. Like, it's like huge stars. And again, another film from 1959. But I'm just going to pull up a picture because some people are going to know what this is.
Did we talk about this in one of the live streams? I feel like
I may have. I mean, Tennessee Williams is so famous for his plays.
Yeah.
And so, like, whenever they're adapted, it's a big deal. You know, it should be a big deal.
Yeah, I've read some of his plays as well.
So here, this is like with the image. This is one of the images, and obviously, this is still the era where like everything that has to do with Elizabeth Taylor is kind of accentuating her beauty. But there's a great scene in there where she's like, the only way for me to forget is for you to, like, you know, have my brain cut. And that's what they try to do. And it's like, dang, it's pretty wild. So that was, and those were adaptations, you know, of some of them were plays, but it, you know, queerness could only exist if it was secret, shameful, criminal, and ultimately doomed. And this is an example of that.
Yeah.
So censorship didn't eliminate queer stories, but it did make them appear psychologically like kind of incoherent. So it was like it didn't allow like a pathway forward for the viewer to be like, okay, this makes sense. This is part of a functioning. It was like, no, this is bad stuff. And so that's kind of the drawback. But in a way, people were still just happy to have any types of story because it was on the road to representation. And then, you know, obviously subtext, it can make a film feel richer.
Yeah.
But it was also like, you know, the scar left by censorship. So it's like, a lot of audience, it's just stuff went over people's heads. But I think the people who are really starving for representation could see it on screen. Do you think audiences at the time were understanding what they were seeing without like cultural training?
The point that you made about how the audiences that were already experiencing those things,
Like it was like always on their mind.
yeah, that those audiences were maybe the only ones that were catching it. I do think that makes a lot of sense actually, because yeah, even now you know, a lot of things go over people's head, even if the message is like written on bright letters. So I think at the time that was maybe a thing too. And obviously, if you are part of a certain group, you will understand their experiences and the things that are, you know, common or only exclusive even to that group, which are many of these things. As I was saying, like the idea of having metaphors for something else, you could easily recognize it if you know, if you're, you know, learned, but also if you have thought about it by, you know, being close to that thing, for example, or experiencing something that was similar, you know, with someone else. And
I know no one cares, but just step away for a bit. We care, Rob. We care deeply. So Rob, let us know if you've seen any of these films. I'm so glad, Rob, if you'd like to help Jimmy, we're doing a fundraiser for Jimmy's kitchen. He doesn't have a kitchen or a bathroom in the house that he's staying in. So, and he's not here with me. So we're fundraising. So Rob, if you'd like to support Jimmy in that way, that would be amazing. It would help us out a ton. So, and it won't mean that he won't be back ever. It actually just means that he'll have more of a secure home where he is now. So if you'd like to support, that would be amazing. Keith PBS says, I care, Rob. We care. You care. I care. We all care. Yeah,
we do.
So the Hollywood system went from showing that like you're like doomed, and then it went into like becoming like the villain. And part of the villain aspect was a little bit like the children's hour, because it's like them being around children was like inherently kind of like, let's say, dangerous.
Thank you,
Rob. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you, truly. Thank you so
Rob.
much. That helps. So much. It goes a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
And then queer coding turned into like villains, outsiders, and like dangerous desire. And so the Maltese Falcon was a part of that. Rebecca was part of that, because the maid and Rebecca is obsessed with Rebecca, who's no longer there. So it's like the phantom of the previous lady of the house. Thank you, Rob, by the way.
Thank you.
That's not lost on us. So thank you. The maid is obsessed with Rebecca. And then there's Rope, which I showed earlier, which Rope has so many different great, images in there, which depict like how, like, you're allowed to show it, because even if it's like queer coded, they're straight up murderers, right? And Rope.
Yeah.
And then Laura, that's another story. Have you heard of Laura?
Yeah.
Right. What do you know? What do you know about Laura?
Let me see. I think I might have watched it. I just watched it like a long time ago.
So it was a 1944 American film noir directed by Otto Preminger. Preminger. You know your 50s stuff.
I watched
or
it.
40s, and
yeah, I just watched it like many years ago.
So. It follows a gruff police detective who falls in love with an idealized portrait of a woman he is investigating, only to be shocked when she returns completely alive to become the prime suspect. So he's like investigating her death, but she turns out to be the suspect. The film begins with a cynical, sardonic voiceover by celebrity columnist Waldo Lydecker. Manhattan detective Mark McPherson is tasked with investigating the murder of Laura Hunt, a successful and beautiful advertising executive who was found brutally shot in the face in her posh apartment. The detective McPherson interviews Laura's social circle. He becomes deeply captivated by her letters, her life, and her painted portrait hanging above her mantle. He essentially falls in love with her ghost. His chief suspects include these different list of people. And then 40 minutes into the movie, the plot gets turned on its head. The woman found in the apartment was not Laura at all, but a model wearing Laura's clothes. Laura herself shockingly walks through the door, having just returned from a trip to the country. like to the, to the country, like out and beyond, not the city. She quickly shifts from deceased victim to prime suspect, and Detective McPherson must untangle who actually committed the crime and why. Laura is famous for its mesmerizing, haunting theme song by David Raksin, I should say. The tune became a massive jazz standard covered by hundreds of artists, including Frank Sinatra, Charlie Parker, and it was just a huge success.
It's such a good movie. It's all coming back to me.
It's all coming back to me now.
It's such a great watch. Also, Preming It has that type.
What do you think was his gift as a filmmaker?
Oh gosh, I think with stars at the time, I think directors had a huge advantage because of how expressive the acting was, the acting style was,
like how new cinema was.
And so I think he has this elegant way of directing films. And
here's Laura, Gene Tierney, and Dana Anders. Yeah.
So I think all these movies are very elegant.
Yeah.
And with him particularly, he also knows how to create a puzzle, that, as you said, it gets flipped around on its head. So this movie is, that there's this aspect of being playful as well.
I love, I felt that way when I watched Charade. When I was a little kid, I watched the movie Charade. Have you seen that with Audrey Hepburn?
No.
Do you remember this image from Laura?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild how these images stay with you?
Yeah.
And this is the 1944 film.
And obviously Jane is, such an iconic face. That was also kind of
Gene Tierney.
Yeah. That was very much of the style of the 40s, 50s.
So while the 1944 film Laura is ostensibly a heterosexual mystery about men fighting over beautiful women, scholars widely consider it one of the most predominantly queer-coded films of the classic Hollywood Hays Code era, because censors explicitly banned overt depictions of homosexuality. Filmmakers use subtext, mannerisms, and aesthetics to imply queer identities. So there was the idea of the evil queer coding of Waldo Lydecker. The entire narrative centers around Waldo Lydecker, who embodies the golden age Hollywood trope of the villainous homosexual dandy or acid-tongued queen. The performance, Waldo is played by Clifton Webb, a famously closeted, openly flamboyant Broadway star. His performance is packed with effeminate mannerisms and perfumed vocabulary, inviting cynical wit. Some of that you see in the Maltese Falcon with that guy across the desk in that interrogation type setting, where he's holding his walking stick or whatever you call that thing. In his first scene, Detective Mark McPherson discovers Waldo writing a column secretly naked while sitting in a bathtub. He casually stands up off camera, and demands a robe. This highly theatrical and intimate introduction contrasts sharply with the stoic, rugged masculinity of the detective. Waldo is defined by his fancy walking stick, a white. You know what? Maybe I'm mixing my things up. Let me see. Let me look for the queer-coded images from Laura.
Yeah. As I said, I also, don't remember very, very clearly, but I do remember also discussing this a little bit with the class and that they teach this on. Yeah.
No, this is a different film, but there's some queer, there's a queer coded character in here. I'll have to go watch this. Maybe I'll watch this tonight. It's this film. But you said you love it because of the twist.
Yeah, it's very well thought.
What's funny is because I've worked on stuff that I'm like, this is reminding me of stuff that it's that was like a derivative work of this. Like it was playing with what this was. You guys super chat so we can get another person too, because it helps me so that I can I can work the computer and someone else can be in the podcast area. But here's another image here from this. Do you remember this image? I think, is this the scene? This is where he's asking for a towel. And then when he gets up, the camera pans away.
Yeah.
And he gets up and it's kind of this uncomfortable scene.
Yeah, I think this was the scene that we discussed with my professor.
Was your professor queer?
No. It was just some class of apreciación cinematográfica,
Right.
But yeah, there's like some camera work that obviously prevents you from watching the full thing.
It says that Robert notes that Waldo's character, this guy, he's like insanely jealous of Laura, even though he never he never for a moment seems heterosexual. His fixation on Laura isn't erotic or physical. It's an obsession of possession. Waldo takes Laura under his wing to groom her, dress her, and transform her from a copy editor into a high society advertising executive. It kind of reminds me of like the publicist in the modern era, like the publicist or the manager or the agent who like knows how to like make women more fabulous.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
And also the dynamic, of being jealous about someone that also has like a higher, level than you. That's also kind of playing with the idea of power dynamics within the male culture of power and dominance.
Yeah, I think that's something that we're constantly dealing with. It says in the modern queer theory, Laura is viewed not as Waldo's lover, but as his beard or his ultimate accessory, the beautiful, glamorous canvas through which a closeted gay man would safely participate in society. So it's very interesting. So I'm going to watch this tonight. And then I think this also can help us with doing like an analysis, like on a film by film, basis, which is interesting. It says, did Mario watch every movie ever made?
I'm trying to keep.
No, he's trying to. He's getting there.
I was demonstrating that I have like a long way to go. So
yeah, but it's very interesting because all of these movies have like a little thing to tell us. And so you mentioned Strangers on a Train, right?
Atlat mentioned it. I think I haven't watched it, but I know that it's also like a very good movie.
Yeah, there's so many like stories on this. It has the same actor who was in Rebel Without a Cause, like a little bit older.
Who mentioned it, guys? Was it you, Adlad?
Yeah, let us know if you're still in the chat. So I'm pulling up a picture for Strangers on a Train. So here we have added to the stage here.
I find it interesting that Hitchcock has several examples of films that were kind of coded as well.
There's some really beautiful, like I love it whenever there's a great like cover art, like the posters. It helps make the movie more iconic because I think movies can get lost in time if they don't have a good cover. And I feel like this is a pretty darn good cover. Strangers on a Train.
Yeah.
So in terms of Strangers on a Train, this is a 1951 film by Alfred Hitchcock. It's a thriller. It's widely recognized as a classic of queer-coded cinema. And again, the reason why it had to be queer-coded was because of the production code or the Hays Code. Because of the strict censorship rules of the Hays Production Code banned any explicit depiction of homosexuality, Hitchcock used subtle visual cues, subtext, and characterization to weave a dense homoerotic narrative. So there's the gay pickup on the train, which is what you see here. The opening meeting between the affluent, eccentric Bruno Anthony and the athletic tennis star Guy Haynes is framed identically to the romantic or sensual solicitation. So it was like almost like a meet cute. Their encounter begins with the accidental physical touch when their feet brush against each other under the table. Bruno quickly invites Guy into his private compartment, orders him drinks, and displays an intensely intimate, boundary-crossing knowledge of Guy's personal and romantic life. And so Bruno is the mid-century sissy and mother's boy. So like moving out of like the traditional sissy at the very beginning of film, even going back to the 1890s and the silent era. But it was like it moved into like the mid-century sissy. And so there were like new shorthands for homosexuality. So he wears flamboyant, showy clothing, like his patterned tie, vulgar brogues. Do you know that term, brogues?
No.
Brogues. Anybody know what that is?
No.
I'm drawing a blank. I've lived in Latin America for long now. Let's see. Maybe it's like a scarf. It says a sturdy leather shoe, decorative before. Okay, so it's like a really sturdy shoe that has like an edging on it. Interesting. Good to know. He has a sports monogram, says Bruno, tie clip, openly enjoys getting manicures. And there's a Freudian mother relationship. Bruno possesses an intensely close, infantile, and codependent relationship with his eccentric mother, while harboring a murderous and hatred for his overbearing father. So it's like a very Freudian thing. At the time, pop psychology heavily associated an overprotective mother and absent hostile father with developing what would end up being homosexuality. That's still a belief to this day. That's still something that's kind of like an idea that's pushed. Like the idea that like, it's like pop psychology. Overprotective mother, absent hostile father leads to that. Well, I would argue that it probably leads more to like people who are, you know, suffering from drug issues or just who are just like floating around in society. Somebody we know, a young person who has some of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting. And there's like the psychological double of closet allegory. So Hitchcock structures the film heavily around the motif of the double. Bruno acts as his shadow self, or the doppelganger, the embodiment of the chaotic, repressed desire that Guy cannot openly express in his respectable public-facing life. So Bruno's relentless stalking of Guy at tennis matches and political parties mirrors the anxieties of a closeted man being hounded by a past indiscretion or a forbidden lover. Guy's hesitation to simply turn Bruno over to the police right away suggests a subconscious guilty complicity in the bond that they have formed. So this is very interesting. So this is for this film, which is Strangers on a Train. So this is another Hitchcock film. Makes you wonder, why do you think Hitchcock was so willing to tackle these topics, whether they were coded or not, right? At the time, it had to be coded.
I'm actually wondering the same thing.
It's like, Hitchcock, what are you trying to say, Hitchcock?
I'm also...
Let us know.
Because he also did it in a very interesting way. Like, they were all involved. Well, they were involved with like murders and like these situations that were, you know, tricky. So I guess it was just like a common thing for him, or like a thought thing for him to want to implement on his films. But I would have to read more about his biography.
He's really smart. You know, he said a lot of things about like, you know, a phone ringing is not interesting, but a phone ringing and nobody answering it is more interesting. But a phone ringing and nobody answering it, and then there's a bomb under the table, that's really interesting.
He was very aware on the audience reaction to films, and I think that's one of the things that you know, filmmakers should also take
into account.
Take to account, because that way you can also be more, you know, interesting with the forms that you're trying to capture. And he was British, right? So
he was British.
That was, you know, maybe the culture was also, you know, a little bit different there, slightly. I don't know how different it was.
Maybe it was more open in some ways. Maybe they were a little bit ahead of the game.
Maybe.
Another movie that kind of shows, you know, in terms of the examples of the, you know, queer coding and like how they started to have to become more like villainous, because they were elegant and effeminate villains. Then there were predatory characters. There were murderous and unstable. There was like queer coded cruelty, which was like we saw in the Maltese Falcon. And then Rebecca too, there was cruelty because the maid was like psychotic and creepy. And then in Rope, obviously just like straight up murderous and villainous. And then Strangers on a Thing on a Train is more like, you know, the subconscious and like, you know, and there is some like criminality that goes on in that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these films that are very noir-y as well, like crime is like a key component to film noir. And then there's Silence of the Lambs, which we have on screen now. So Silence of the Lambs, there's a lot of queer stuff going on in that.
You know, that's also another thing, that movies were so like elegant. Like the mise-en-scene was like so planned and like so elegant and so filmed in a way that it was very mysterious. Like it was more dramatic in a way, like the acting style as well. So I think that also allowed to create like this sensation of mystery and even seduction between two characters that were kind of hinting the other person that they were, you know, interested in them.
Yeah. And Silence of the Lambs, and this one totally good, especially for Strangers on a Train, which is like I'll have to watch that and Laura. Those are my 2 watch movies now. So this is like he's like but he's like Wild Buffalo Bill, I believe, right? The crazy guy.
Yeah.
You've seen this movie?
Yeah.
You know, Jodie Foster is like my favorite actress. I think there's something about her, and I also think luck goes into it. And this is why I was trying so hard to get Jimmy into film early, is because the earlier you're in it, the better. But in Silence of the Lambs, it occupies a deeply controversial position in queer cinema studies because it's acting simultaneously as a foundational text for like transphobic cinematic tropes and an accidental site of lesbian coded feminist empowerment. So it's like you could argue that like the character of, you know, Clarice Starling is like lesbian empowerment, but then Buffalo Bill is like maybe inherently feels transphobic. I don't think it's actually transphobic. I think it's just the character.
Exactly.
Personally, I mean, I don't think it's actually. I don't think it's going out of its way to be anything overtly negative, I would say. But in terms of Silence of the Lambs, it's doing 2 things at once. One is being lesbian coded and feminist empowerment, but also being maybe transphobic cinema. While the film explicitly states the villain, it's because his name is James Gum, or Buffalo Bill, is not actually transgender. Critics argue that the visual imagery permanently linked gender nonconformity with the horrific violence in the public imagination, which I think there's some truth to that.
I think so.
But I think the person is just crazy. And I think that, I think we have to be careful to not, because I think it's also criminal in its own way to say that the gay person can't be the villain.
And
right, especially now that we've come so far.
And gender descriptions.
Hey, BT Hookah, how are you?
Hey, BT. Hello.
BT, we're so glad you're here.
Thank you, BT.
We're doing a fundraiser for Jimmy. Jimmy is living in Texas now, and we need to get his kitchen and his bathroom fixed. So we're doing a fundraiser. We've got 7 more super chats. You guys help us out. But go on.
Oh, that gender, definitions can also be even more restrictive if you use it that way, because it also creates like this idea that, oh, now this person is trans, for example, just because it's not non-conforming with.
And I also think that it's like we group people together too quickly. It's like that's not what that is. It's actually just it's a person who's like operating outside of labels altogether. So, but I get how that's why movies. It's like there's so much. I hate that we have to treat movies with such gloves now, but in a way that makes sense why we're like the return to like the R-rated comedy, because if you think about it, it's actually it's funny how like when people think that's risky, I'm like that's not risky. It's actually playing to very common like silly stuff. It's not like overtly like harmful. Whereas like Silence of the Lambs, it's like that's like psychological horror. So like whatever images you're gonna put up there, that's gonna stick out. And so Hollywood discovered that queerness could make a villain more unsettling without being explicitly stated. So like the coded villain often appeared, and obviously in the Silence of the Lambs, we're kind of moving out of that, but in some ways we're still coming out of it, and we're still self-censoring, and that's why they don't say this is this and this is that. But in a way, that's probably a good thing. But also falling into like the old code system in the sense that he's doing something bad and he gets his end, right? He gets his justice. So like the coded villain often appears as sophisticated, theatrical, ambiguous, like in terms of their, who they perform as, emotionally detached, fascinated by the hero, sometimes obsessed by the hero, outside the conventional family life. And it's like, why does this work so efficiently? It's because the film is exploiting the audience's suspicion of difference. And so, there's like a necessary nuance there. So some queer viewers love these characters because the villains were often like more stylish, more intelligent, more interesting, less confined by conventional morality. Even going to something more as innocent is comparatively to Strangers on a Train. Do you remember the plot of Strangers on a Train?
I haven't watched it, but it's you mentioned that it was also like crime related. Let me see.
You got it.
Yeah.
So on Strangers on a Train, it says the central crime on this movie is that there's a conspiracy to commit a crisscross murder. And so where two strangers agree, that's right, this is really, really famous, where two strangers agree to swap murders to give each other the perfect alibi, which actually is a great plot. This is so Alfred Hitchcock, right? So they meet on the train and they agree to do the other person's crime for them. That way, if anyone says da 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 da, you have the perfect alibi. So Bruno proposes that he will murder Guy Haynes' unfaithful wife, Miriam. In exchange, Guy will murder Bruno's wealthy, controlling father. But Bruno follows through on his end of the bargain and strangles Miriam to death at an amusement park. But because Guy never actually agreed to the plan, Bruno spends the rest of the film stalking and extorting Guy, threatening to frame him for Miriam's murder unless Guy kills Bruno's father. Like, this is so Hitchcockian, and I feel like I wonder how many of these films will get made today, because I feel like audiences like want explosions, they want more spectacle,
visual things.
Well. I mean, I think these can work, but I think like I don't know. I feel like with like Gen Z, it's like sometimes it's like the stories they want are like more basic. You know what I mean? It's like it needs to be more like I like this girl, or I
at the
want.
same time being like super direct, like
like there's like a super directness to what is it about?
My theory is that we are also not knowing how to read metaphors anymore.
That's a good point. We're not like that's what Guillermo del Toro says. Like we've lost our media literacy.
That's a big part, because that's my biggest thing with current movies is that they are also
too literal.
Too literal. Like the message is
it's like here's the message. Like even Guillermo del Toro, it's like Frankenstein is the monster.
Exactly.
It's not the monster. It's like we get it.
And
then he keeps driving home. It's like no, we get it.
No.
Again, it's like glitch. It depends on like how advanced is your audience, like how much do they get, cinema and how it works. So Adlad says Guy's wife was a hussy and cheating on him. She got what was coming to her. Adlad, I say it like with that 1940s and 50s, like, well, you see, the old thing that's,
the intonation,
of the old like mafia villain or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
How would you guys describe that accent? Like, you see, it's not quite mid-Atlantean, I don't think. Mid-Atlantic. All right, then we talked about Silence of the Lambs and how like the killer Buffalo Bill is like, androgynous. And so that kind of that definitely stuck out in my mind. Do you remember seeing that movie for the first time?
Yeah.
Have you seen this one?
Yeah.
Do you remember seeing him like dancing around and in this bohemian outfit, and how it was so bizarre and almost it was like unsettling?
Yeah, I think this movie is like one of the movies that stick to your mind, even if it's just like because of
you don't have to even
thing.
watch it more than once.
Yeah, and even if it's just because of one thing, it kind of sticks there.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting what people take away from Silence of the Lambs, because a lot of it, it's Hannibal Lecter's character himself. He's like, a census taker once tried to take my census, and I ate his liver with fava beans. It's like with a nice Chianti. But then other people, it's like from what I took away from it was heavily the Buffalo Bill character, and like like the scenes where he's alone and he's performing for himself, and I thought that was very interesting. But I think this movie is like its own masterpiece, because it draws like outside the lines. Like it's not trying to appease anybody, and I think that's kind of how you win awards. This is like peak award season. These 90s movies. That's what I'm, whenever people ask me like, what's the best, I'm like, the 90s, and I still think so, because I think there was also like a sexual liberation in the 90s in terms of like movies like that were either funny like The Birdcage or darker like this, and even with comedy or drama, or as good as it gets. How are you going to make that now? And that level of characters who are so wild. And I love that Richie saw that movie. I was like, I saw that movie and I loved it. I'm like, I'm so glad. Because you never know if someone who's like 17, right? He's 17, and coming and being like, I watched it and I was like, whatever. But being able to see the nuanced performances, have you seen it yet?
Not yet.
The reason why you love it too, it wastes no time. It gets right into the story, and
that's I think that's like on the top of my priority list.
It's so good. It wastes no time to establish who the characters are, and it's just such great. Thank you, Vita Hookah. I love it, and I love interacting too. So if you guys have films, bring them to the table. Be like, you got to watch this film.
Yeah.
And even better with the super chat. It says your name is originally German, something like Biebenhausen. I always thought that Keith Peavy-House, because somebody was like, joking, like, what is that name? I was like, it's probably like whenever his family came over on Ellis Island, they just typed it down wrong, or they didn't type it, they wrote it down.
Yeah.
You know, I'm on those little notebooks. So for decades, the villain was someone only queer characters were permitted to know, like, who they were. The villain was sometimes the only queer character, and so it's like in a film that can kind of be dangerous too, right? Like if the only queer character is a villain, whereas there is a queer character predominantly showcased in As Good as It Gets, let's say, and am I saying, is that the right one? Yeah, As Good as It Gets, and that's like, it starts off with his controversy with Jack Nicholson's character because they're neighbors, and the movie just takes a totally unexpected turn. So I highly recommend it. Mario, why do you think villains are frequently more charismatic than the heroes? Like, it kind of reminds me of there was a return to this with that Bond movie, where Javier Bardem, remember that he was like highly like flamboyant, and he had like, he takes out his jaw and is like, it showcases that he's kind of like grotesque in a way, but he's also like very flamboyant at the same time, and he kind of gets close to James Bond and like almost kisses him.
I think it's because moral ambiguity is interesting. It's more interesting than straight up being good, because just the idea of knowing someone and that person might have a secret that relates them somehow to being morally, as I was saying, what was the word? Morally ambiguous.
Ambiguous. That can be a hard word. Morally ambiguous.
I mean, it immediately makes it more interesting, and it also allows for gray areas that are also more interesting than simply knowing the surface of a person. So I think they are relatable because of that, and in that relatability, there's like this attraction that we feel towards them, because they also allow you to kind of see maybe even your own perversions, let's say, represented on the medium. And because we tend to suppress those perversions because of society,
or what might be called a perversion. Maybe it's not actually,
it's not even a perversion. It's just like a not accepted behavior, let's say, which is fine. I mean, that's also part of the social contract, but just feeling yourself freer because of the representation of it on a media that is as powerful as cinema. I think it makes it, attractive for people in general.
Here's the image where Javier Bardem's, from Skyfall, he's like, he has like some lines that are kind of homoerotic, and it's interesting to see Daniel Craig. And obviously Daniel Craig, you can go look up all the theories behind him and his relationships. But I think he's one of the best Bonds. I think he's great.
Yes. And Javier Bardem also has this in him too, I think.
Absolutely.
The ability to portray these characters.
I think so. And I think also, like, from an international lens too, like without seeing everything through this like American lens allows you to play characters that are more open and more let's say free, because you're not confined by like cultural constraints that are projected onto you. So we talked about Ben-Hur, we talked about Spartacus, like the intense male friendships, and like there was some like how the military rivalries there. This could kind of fall into that territory a little bit. This is obviously way beyond the production code era, but it kind of reminds you like how it created some tropes that were actually kind of fascinating that I think we held on to because it's like they kind of work, you know?
Do
you remember Skyfall? Do you remember like the plot of it?
I watched I only watched one of Craig's movies. I mean, Bond movies. It was the one that was filmed in Mexico, but was it Skyfall?
I think it was Skyfall. I want to say it's Skyfall.
Yeah, yeah. Then if it is Skyfall, I do remember like parts of it because I also watched it when
it was actually Spectre.
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 Okay,
yeah, because they show Day of the Dead.
Yeah,
there's like there's an 11-minute opening sequence set in the massive stylized Day of the Dead parade.
Yeah. Then I haven't watched Skyfall.
Yeah. Have you seen The Weekend 2020-2011? Mark Sands will check it out. Mark Sands.
Oh, we'll check it out.
We'll check it out.
I haven't.
I love your things. And then as we look at movies, there's a question. And Mark Sands, well, I'm going to put this up and I'm going to look up your movie. But at what point does interpretation like become authorship in and of itself, like for a film? Like at what point, because like Hollywood could show extraordinary emotional intimacy between men as long as it maintained like deniability. But it does raise like a fascinating question. It's like in Ben-Hur, Gore Vidal described giving one actor the knowledge of the characters and had one of the lovers not telling Charlton Heston, what the scene was, what was really happening in the subtext. So the producers, that produces two performances that are occupying different versions of the same scene. It's like, how does one actor's gaze change the emotional meaning, whether the scene remains queer if the film never confirms it? Like why audiences find subtext so powerful, and whether contemporary exposition sometimes can destroy like ambiguity. Like that ambiguity in a way is like kind of beautiful because again, it's like art. Different people are different, taking different things from it, which I think it's like, that's the beautiful thing about art, because I think it's like, I don't get it. It's like, get something from it. It's okay if you don't actually get it, but get something from it.
Exactly.
Get something from it.
I agree.
And that's 100%. Like where
100%.
interpretation becomes like, maybe not authorship, but it becomes like what the core meaning of the art is for you.
And I do think that authorship doesn't rely as much in the form as we think it should be. I think it's more about the idea that, the person is trying to convey, rather than just the way it does it. And so I do think that this like area of interpretation is also, the way the message gets across even, which is, it's interesting. And I 100% agree. If you're not getting the message, at least get something out of it. Because then there would be no exchange between you and the work that you're seeing. BT Hookah said, Brent, have you ever watched this Mexican movie, Un Muro de Silencio?
I have to check it out. This is the thing about film.
Yeah, and I will check it out as well. BT Hookah, thank you.
Mara and I keep wanting to make a film, and then we run up to like financial difficulties, and because it's like, oh, there's this and there's that, and and so you have to find that happy balance. And I think, I was telling him, I was like, and I have to like let things go after a while. But I was like, there was so much money in the late. But at the same time, the other part of my brain is like saying, Brent, just shut up. Don't make him feel like it's hopeless, because it's not hopeless.
I think I get it. Like I understand.
But I just, it's like I have to like get it out to be like, it was so good. No idea. But I also think the access to technology was a lot harder too, whereas technology costs have dropped dramatically.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to go out and make your film and get a great cinematographer and understand like your story beats and all those different things.
Yeah. And John Scott says the ambiguity allows the viewer to personalize the film, which is it's very true. Well, at the same time, it's also important for maybe the point to be said as well. Because I think.
Thank you, Keith Peavy House.
Thank you, Keith Peavy House.
You guys, we're 6 away. We're 6 away. We have 20 minutes for our goal. Thank you so much. The first, let's see more orange and red. It says the real first gay movie that I saw was in college, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Oh gosh, I love that film. That's an Australian film. Have you seen that? It's like a drag film. It has Hugo Weaving.
I haven't.
Hugo Weaving, who's from The Matrix. His daughter is Samara Weaving, who was in the second to last Scream.
Yeah.
Great film. Thank you, Keith Peavy House, so much. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert is amazing. That's like your more overt, gay film. This is I'm taking stuff off the letterboard here. So this is Strangers on a Train. So this is coming down. Here's the poster. Y'all check this movie out. Strangers on a Train. This is where two guys meet up and they have each other commit the crime. And then we talked about Spectre and how like the villain is like queer coded and somewhat in ways like very queer.
Yeah.
Like in your face actually. So, and then here we have Weekend. And so Weekend is, I'm about to pull up what the story is behind this one. And so have you heard of this movie? Had you heard of it before?
No.
Yeah, I hadn't either. So I love, yeah. So these images are all from Weekend from 2011. And I love it because this is why we do things live, because the audience can participate and say, you got to talk about this part. You got to talk about that part, And so it's very helpful for us. So here's another image from that. Weekend. This looks okay. So it says in Weekend, a critically acclaimed British romantic drama directed by Andrew Hay, set in Nottingham, England. It follows two men, Russell and Glenn, who meet at a gay club on a Friday night. What begins as an unexpected one-night stand blossoms into an intense, transformative 48-hour emotional connection. The plot centers on Russell, a quiet, reserved lifeguard, and Glenn, an outspoken, fiercely political art student. After spending Friday night together, Glenn coaxes, I love that word, coaxes, is like cajole, or convinces them. Glenn coaxes Russell into speaking into a tape recorder for an art project detailing the events of their hookup. Over the weekend, the two hang out in bars, bedrooms, drink, take substances, and share their deepest vulnerabilities. As they spend more time together, they realize their connection is running much deeper than either of them anticipated. Their weekend together turns into a brief encounter that will heavily impact their lives and identities. This is really interesting. So the director opted for a naturalistic, almost documentary style. And this is, Mario, we've been talking about this, is like taking that route allows you to control your budget a lot more.
Yeah.
So they filmed it for £120,000. The production used minimal lighting and handheld camera work. This minimalistic approach gives the film an intimate and authentic feel, allowing the chemistry between the two leads to take center stage. The movie beautifully and realistically explores universal themes like intimacy, vulnerability, and the universal search for an authentic life. I think that is true. You can, and I always tell Mario, it's like a day is like 1,000 years. Like you can experience so many different things.
Yeah.
Like if we had all the tools to achieve, like, because so many things run through our heads. And that's why like discipline and all these different things require us to like achieve our goals and consistency and not getting derailed. But that's why there's such an allure to these new tools, because it's like you can just like make things happen really quickly.
Yeah.
But these types of things, it's like we have to watch this because it may give us an idea on how to film it.
Yeah.
And with Andre, if you're watching, we love you. We want you to come back soon. But she mentioned, Rachel at the Wedding, and that's another handheld film.
Is it too handheld?
It's handheld. Rachel at the Wedding. Yeah.
Nice.
We didn't talk about it, but it is. And I wanted to tell her that that's going to influence her performance as well. But I was like, I don't want to get into it too much. But this premiered at 2011 South by Southwest. That takes place in Texas. I think it's in Austin. The Weekend garnered massive critical acclaim for its honest portrayals and powerful performances. It went on to win numerous awards, including several audience awards, and put both its director and cast on the map. Many critics and audiences praise it as one of the finest modern queer romances, often comparing its lingering emotional resonance to Before Sunrise. That would make sense if the fact that it all takes place within a weekend. So thank you for that. I'm going to check that out. Thank you for that recommendation.
Thank you.
Mark Sands, thank you for that. Good recommendation.
Yeah.
I love the imagery here. And it looks very like, it does have a documentary-esque style to it, like minimalistic style, like for the wall. I love that. Very cool. Vidihuka. Brent, I like watching Finland's old movies because they are black and white, and only my dad was little. They had an old TV, and I like old stuff because they watched on these live streams of years. Brent. Yeah, Vidihuka. I will say I notice a trend too. It's like I try to look forward and backwards. So I look forward to, what is the future going to be? And then also to the past, because the past helps inform where we're headed as a society.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. Well, now I know about this. So this is an example of a film too, where it's like this could have just taken place between a man and a woman too. But maybe the fact that it's men, it's kind of exploring what's kind of happening with the gay culture at the time.
Yeah.
Right. Broken Hearts Club was a great movie. I 100% agree. And so kind of moving out of the era where, you know, the gay characters were villains, let's say, because that's where we were before we talked about Weekend.
Yeah.
And thank you for bringing that up, Mark Sands. I love that. But there was a lot of talk about like lesbian representation and the shame and the tragic ending. And that was explored in The Children's Hour with Rebecca. Like Rebecca, that was the maid. There was a movie called Young Man with a Horn. Have you heard of this?
No.
If anybody knows, if somebody knows this in the chat, I'll pull it up. If not, I'm going to skip over that one.
But yeah, I think I haven't.
And then there's The Hunger, which is with Susan Sarandon, where she plays a lesbian vampire.
Oh.
This is, very real.
Did someone mention this earlier, guys? Let us know.
Yeah,
That
let me know if you
sounds
mentioned
really
it. This is on my list.
This is so
But this is where it's becoming like more. It still falls into like the late stage production code, like beyond the production code, but still lingering stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But a lot of people like this because it has like some camp to it. You know, whether it was intentional or not. This is from 1983. So this is The Hunger. And there's a lot of like lesbian like vampire like content back in the day. But I'm sure a lot of people who are watching will know The Hunger. They're going to be like, "Oh, I know that movie," because it was iconic and has a cult following. And from what I'm seeing, I think David Bowie's in it.
He has again like this very is it androgynous
and androgynous
a look,
totally an androgynous look. It's kind of like what are you are you, boo?
Which is why I think he was casted for these films, you know.
Cast. Some people say casted, but it's not really right. It's kind of like just past like casting and cast. It's like I cast a spell. So you just pass the same cast. This is I love this mise-en-scene. It's like very 80s. This one here, like this is so like this, the 80s lamp and it's so interesting. It says so bizarre, so sensual, so shocking, The Hunger. And I think, you know, this kind of stuff, it's a lot of people relive the moment when they discovered these films. Or if you're watching this, and this is the first time you've heard of this, go check some of these films out. At the very least, go check them out. Like, go check out a clip on YouTube. But very interesting stuff. So here's the original poster here for The Hunger.
That's cool.
And I'll give some historical context. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby.
We got 5 more, guys. We got 5 more.
Thank you, Bobby. I'm back. Got the kid fed. Got me fed. Better half fed. Dogs fed. What dream is?
Well, right now we're talking about The Hunger.
Yes. Speaking of Polish movies, one dark Polish movie, Concrete Nights.
Okay, I'll pull it up. Concrete Nights. I like it. You guys leave super chats, and then we can pull up your movie, and then we can recommend it to the crowd and break it down. And you guys, as an audience, can decide this is worth watching, or this is not worth watching, or you know, on my maybe list. So the 1983 The Hunger is a stylish gothic erotic horror film, and the featured directorial debut of guess who? Tony Scott. So Tony Scott is Ridley Scott's brother. He famously jumped off a bridge. Like no one really knows why. It was like a crazy story, but he did a lot of my favorite movies, like Unstoppable, the train movie, which I talk about all the time. He did Top Gun, based on Whitley Strieber's 1981 novel. It stars Catherine Deneuve as an immortal vampire, David Bowie as her rapidly aging lover, and Susan Sarandon as a scientist who gets caught in their web. So Marion Blaylock, or Deneuve, is an elegant, centuries-old Egyptian vampire living in Manhattan with her musician companion, John, who is Bowie. While Marion possesses eternal youth, she previously promised her lover eternal life. Her lover's eternal life. However, John discovers that her gift has run out. Her gift has run out. She can't give it anymore. The gift of eternal life. He suddenly begins rapidly aging. So he'd already been given it, but so it's like whatever, it's like the magic right now. So he starts aging rapidly into an old man over the span of a few days. In a desperate bid to stop his deterioration, he approaches Dr. Sarah Roberts, or Susan Sarandon, a gerontologist researching premature aging in primates. When John's attempts fail, Miriam stores him in a coffin alongside her dozens of past lovers and turns her sights and affections towards Dr. Roberts. Thank you so much, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
That's right. 4 more, guys. Let's make it happen. 4 more for Jimmy. For Jimmy.
For the kid.
So it's highly influenced by its visuals rather than its narrative. Scott used an MTV generation aesthetic that favored slow motion shots, flowy drapes, moody blue lighting, jarring rapid cuts. It's famous for its iconic opening scene set in a goth nightclub featuring the band Bauhaus performing their seminal track Bela Lugosi's Dead. And we know Bela Lugosi is a big director from the 1950s, right? I love how it's like the more you learn about culture, the more things start to come full circle, and you're like, oh, like I'm cultured,
interconnected. Yeah,
absolutely. While the vampire hunts for prey, the Bela Lugosi's Dead song plays from the band Bauhaus. Interestingly, the word vampire is never actually spoken in the entire movie. Upon its release, the film received mixed reviews, but it quickly developed a passionate cult following, particularly with the goth and the LGBTQ plus subcultures. It is highly regarded for its atmospheric, dreamlike pacing, and it's celebrated as a highly visual masterpiece of high gothic horror. Masterpiece, I should say. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, a masterpiece. Yeah, so that's The Hunger. So now you know. So you can never say you haven't been exposed to The Hunger, because every day is film school here.
Yeah.
Over here at Brent and Venture. Okay, guys. So lesbian characters were often permitted greater physical ambiguity because like female intimacy could be dismissed as friendship, and it's less like, because they're like they're not the active partner, let's say, in traditional intimacy. But once desire becomes undeniable, the stories frequently shift towards shame, jealousy, instability, or like voyeurism, violence, people offing themselves, and then just like punishment. So like in the children's hour, going back to that film, the devastating issue is not simply that the characters suffer, it's that the cultural pattern teaches audiences that recognition of queer desire leads naturally to like annihilation. So, you know, The Hunger was like at the tail end of this. Like the beginning of that was like the children's hour, and the end of it was The Hunger, because The Hunger, there's like some stuff that happens in there that kind of still falls into some of this in terms of like the tragic ending. The problem was not that queer stories contained tragedy, let's say. It was that Hollywood struggled to imagine a queer life after the revelation of the queerness.
Okay, yeah.
So it was like after the queerness is discovered and it becomes part of the plot, it's like, where do we go from there?
Yeah.
Because you see Bowie and his lover here, and then Susan Sarandon comes into the story, and you can already see there's like some eroticism happening between these two women here.
Yeah.
And so there's like a tragic end there, but it's very interesting. And Susan Sarandon was known for like she's always been known to like take very like daring roles that other people would be like, oh no, this is a career ender. So I've always loved Susan Sarandon for that.
Yeah.
So someone else recommended a movie. It was called Concrete Nights.
Concrete Nights. It was Bobby. Okay. He said it was a Polish movie. But yes, guys, if you leave a super chat with
we're four more away, guys.
If you leave a super chat with a recommendation, we will pull it up, guys.
Okay, this is a 2013 film, it looks like. Concrete Nights. I think what's great is that people find, how do you guys find these movies? So like Bobby Barra, how did you find this?
Yes, let us know.
I'm always curious because I know there are people, they find it in Letterboxd, or does it get recommended on your feed? You guys let me know. I'm always curious.
Thank you for your recommendations, guys.
Don't
forget to like and subscribe as well.
I'm gonna pull up the Polish one. the Polish cover here.
Yeah.
And you guys, your super chats help us to like get better programs so we can have more, visuals to pull up on screen, things like that. And I love it when it's conversational. So you guys leave super chats, leave comments.
Yeah.
All right. So here's one of the images. Some of the images are, since it's Europe, it's like they can do more stuff. Let me see here. It's a black and white film.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really beautiful, imagery in here. Like really, really beautiful. So I can understand why Bobby Barra loves this.
It looks interesting.
Yeah, like there's some beautiful images in this. For sure.
Whenever there are modern films that are black and white, that's always like an interesting statement.
Because like lighting is doing all this work.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a guy, he has a channel called Cinema Sticks. It's really wonderful. And he shows like Spider-Man 3. He was like, if you take out like 80% of the film and make it black and white, it's like an amazing film. And I'm like, interesting. And he makes a really compelling point.
Yeah.
So here's one of the images here from it.
Bye, BT Hookah.
BT Hookah, thank you for being here. We love you, BT Hookah. Have a great day, BT Hookah.
Have a great day.
Don't forget to like the video, BT Hookah. We appreciate you so much.
Yes. Yeah. That looks interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
The shots.
Mm-hmm. Like the shots are very, very, very interesting in terms of like what the story is telling here.
Composition, I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, the composition. It's a Finnish title. It's Betonio. How you guys tell me? It's a 2013 Finnish coming of age drama that follows a 14-year-old. There we go, 14 again. 14-year-old boy named Simo through a dreamlike and often brutal odyssey in a Helsinki slum. Directed and written by Pirro Honkasalo. The film is based on a 1981 novel by the same name by Pirkko Saisio. So, A Final Night of Freedom. The story takes place over 24 hours. I love that when they do that, when they don't stretch the time too much. It takes place over 24 hours as Simo's older brother, Ilkka, spends his last day of freedom before beginning a prison sentence. Simo is a vulnerable boy searching for his identity. During their last night roaming Helsinki together, Ilkka imparts unwise life lessons and a tough guy philosophy that Simo tragically begins to adopt. The film culminates in a panic-stricken act of violence after Simo misreads the intentions of a photographer, an event that forces him to find his true face at an enormous cost. Noted for its stunning black and white cinematography, the film uses surreal imagery such as a recurring dream of a sunken underwater train to represent Simo's mental state and desire for liberation. He's an acclaimed veteran of Finnish cinema. The director is. He served as who served as her own screenwriter for this project. So it's a woman. This star films Johannes Brodros de Simo. I'll skip over the names just for pronunciation reasons. It won the equivalent for the Oscars in 2014, the Finnish Oscars for Best Film and Best Direction. So very interesting. So it was like a high-end cinema, and I've got to watch this movie now. I have to learn Finnish. So now VT Hookah is from Finland, right?
Yeah.
VT Hookah, have you seen this? Is VT Hookah the one that recommended it, or was Bobby Barra?
It was Bobby. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what a coinkydink. What a coincidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Sands, glad you're here. American films rely more on technical aspects and special effects to enhance their storylines. Bobby Barra, that's absolutely true, particularly in today's society. But I will tell you, it's because the cost of filmmaking has just exploded in the United States. Everyone's talking about it, to the biggest stars, which is like Ben Affleck. He recently made like an AI movie making company and sold it to Netflix. And while also simultaneously talking about like the dangers of AI. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of having to play both sides of the fence there. So Mario, what do you think? Do you think tragedy is harmful in these films, or is it the repetition of it that's harmful?
I've actually seen people made arguments that that one of the characteristics of
We'll have to
these
check it out, Vituka.
films.
See, we can review it later.
Thank you, Vituka. That one of the common things in these films is that they all end up tragically, and so
They end in tragedy.
yeah. So I think that's a valid argument as well. Like if these people are telling us, if the audience is telling you, well, we would also like to sometimes see some happier endings, then I think that's something to also listen to, right? Like because you would also want to have like good representation, and I agree that it's important to have like any representation, but at the end of the day, it's also nice to see like a nice representation of things. And now that we're see the historical path that these narratives have been to be subjected to, I think it's interesting to think that maybe the next step is seeing more happy ending films of this queer nature. Because I mean I love my tragic films, but at the same time you also root for the characters.
Yeah, like if everything is tragic, then it's like what that's part of the point of the live stream too, is like if you're training the audience that everything is like this is gonna end in tragedy, it's like there's like a moral lesson that you're putting onto the audience.
And it's a very thin layer of narrative that gets fed into people's emotions and brain and sensitivity. So I think it's important to also train that part of viewers that can see the world in a more positive way, which I think movies do, and I do agree with the groups that are telling this, because it's also telling of the audience. I mean, if an audience is telling you this, then you should, listen to them at least.
I will tell you, this movie will kind of blow your mind in terms of like the way because this is from 1970, and The Boys in the Band, and so this is where we're moving out of, everyone ending in tragedy, and it's like moving out of films like The Hunger, like, especially moving away from like The Children's Hour and Rebecca, and moving into thank you, Keith Peavy House. Thank you, Keith Peavy House. Have a great night. Enjoy. What are you eating tonight? You're gonna have some pizza and some wine. Let us know.
Thank you, Keith Peavy House.
We want to know. The crowd wants to know, what is Keith Peavy House eating? So The Boys in the Band is from 1970, and it's just like required viewing if you are interested in the way queer people are depicted on screen.
Okay.
And so here are some different images from The Boys in the Band. This explores like all the different aspects of, I would say, gay life at the time. This movie blew my mind when I watched it. Torch Song Trilogy. Remember that one? Bobby Barra, remind me. Torch Song Trilogy. I'll pull it up.
Yeah. And Death in Venice. I have watched that out loud. That's also like another very like sensual film.
It's called A Death in Venice?
Death in Venice.
Just Death in Venice? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just check that out.
Which is based off a
not to be confused with the more recent A Haunting in Venice. That's different.
No, that's different. Yeah, that's very different.
So what do you remember from that before I pull up the info here?
I do remember more about that movie. Like the young actors' life was like tragic.
2 minutes away, guys. Let's come on. 3 super chats.
3 super chats, guys.
Bobby Barra, I'm looking to you. I look to you. I look to you. Yeah.
But it's inspired by the book by Thomas Mann, I think. It was directed by Luchino Visconti. And it's like a film of like an aristocrat going to like the beach and being impressed by the beauty of a boy that he meets there. And
he meets there?
He meets there. And so the movie is like him, fighting kind of with the desire.
I'm gonna check it out, Bobby Barra. Matthew Broderick has a gay kiss also in, if you can believe it, or an almost gay kiss in Modern Family, if you can believe that, back when it was on ABC. 1 minute, you guys. We have 2 super chats.
Mark Sands. 1 minute.
Keith Peavy House. We got 2 more. Let's make it happen. Mark Sands, Keith Peavy House, Bobby Barra.
Guys.
Come on, guys. I look to you. I look to you when all hope is gone. Do you know who sings that song? In you I can be strong. I look to you.
Whitney Houston? No.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
I look to you. Yeah. It's Whitney Houston. It's one of her last like ballads before she passed away. It was I Look to You. It was such a powerful song. I really liked it. But this is a 1970 film directed by William Friedkin. It's Boys in the Band. It's a landmark piece of LGBT cinema, like really, really landmark. Adapted by Martin Crowley's 1968 off-Broadway play. It was one of the first mainstream American films to focus openly on the lives and relationships and struggles of gay men. And so this was really huge because it shows like the tragedy and like the way that they judge each other as well inside of their own group. Like it's like, dang, like this movie is deep and dark. Thank you guys, but thank you, Bobby Barra. Thank you, Mark Sands. Y'all got it right as the goal ended, but it still counts.
It does. Thank you guys.
Let's see if it'll let me.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. So this one, the plot unfolds in a Manhattan apartment where Michael, a neurotic recovering alcoholic, is hosting a birthday party for his sharp-tongued friend. You know the term sharp tongues mean? Like it's like someone who's like very like has a biting humor.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you
so much.
Sands.
So it's someone who like someone who's, what do you call it? They're basically, they can be like very cruel, or it's kind of like a drag queen.
Okay,
so it's like someone who really knows how to tear into you, a sharp tongue. So it's so crazy. All these videos that are like these people they go every single day about the Odyssey. It's so wild. The critics are saying they love these action sequences. So listen, I want all movies to succeed. I really do.
Yeah. But thank you again, Bobby and Mark Sands and everyone. Kid Boo House, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. BT Hookah says, I'm watching an Italian police show on my TV and its name is Lolita Lobosco. And I have been in Italy when I was young. That's interesting, BT Hookah.
That is very interesting.
How long was that ago? How long ago was that?
Yeah, let us know. Who saw Trick from the early 90s? I'll pull it up. Trick is like kind of like a precursor to, I think, Twink. Like do they still use the word trick? Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
It was like a trick. It was kind of like Twink. Like
I have heard Twink. Yeah.
Or like turning tricks. Let me correct myself. It was like turning trick. It was kind of like performing certain acts for money, or not even for money, but just doing it. But anyway, in this movie, he's throwing a birthday party for his sharp-tongued friend Harold. The guest list includes a diverse cross-section of gay archetypes of the era, the cynical and campy to the secretly married. The dynamic changes entirely when Alan, Michael's straight former college roommate, unexpectedly arrives and is forced to confront the sexuality of his friends. As the alcohol flows and tensions rise, there's some what like Virginia Woolf in here, you know, like how the night is unfolding.
Yeah.
Also like some of the scenes from like All About Eve, in terms of like a party where people are like starting to like really let it rip. You know, like I think we need those movies where it's like like people will say these really deep truths, and you don't need to cut to explosions. You don't need to cut to an action sequence. Like people's words are doing and the acting is really carrying the drama. The dynamic changes whenever the straight friend shows up, the former college roommate. As the alcohol flows and tensions rise, the party degenerates into a cruel, emotional game where each man is forced to call someone and confess their true feelings of love. So The Boys in the Band is widely considered, and it's discussed for its unflinching, sometimes controversial, and self-deprecating portrayal of gay men, because it was produced pre-Stonewall. So this was before the Stonewall riots. This is from 1970. Many critics and later historians analyzed the film as an illusion of how societal homophobia forced gay men to internalize their pain and project it onto another. That's so real. Yeah. And I think that's something that happened happens with all people, right? Like internalize anything, misogyny, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything like that. But this movie will blow your mind because you'll see probably a little bit of me in all of these characters.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? Not to say that like I'm overtly any one of them, but I think every gay man, like we see ourselves like, because it has like these, it's like the most, it's like taking a little tiny part of yourself and like putting it under a microscope or turning it, dialing it up to 1,000. It was so wild. Mark Sands is the man. I agree. 100%.
Mark Sands is
I was literally 12 years old and I have to go now. I was in Italy. You were 12. Love you, VT Hookah. So you were 12 when you went to Italy. Got it. Love it.
Thank you, VT Hookah. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you so much, Adlad. We're so glad you're here.
Bye, Adlad.
So this movie, I highly recommend it. But basically, they have to confront like who they are, and it's just like their sense of self kind of unravels. It's just it's wild stuff. But I definitely recommend the film because
I will watch it. Yeah,
it's like an exploration of living in that sense of there's like a lot of self-hatred going on there too. Okay. So that was the reason why that movie is kind of moving out. That was more about liberation. There was some backlash, but the openly queer characters, and also where they're like all of the characters where the main characters were gay, right? So that was like a total departure from the movies from like the Code era.
Yeah.
And so that was right on the verge of that was right in 1970 when it was released, which means it was filmed at the end of the 69.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you've heard of Cabaret.
Yeah.
Cabaret. All right. Can you guess what year Cabaret came out?
68.
No, it was later. It was after the last movie.
Oh, 75.
Before?
Or 74.
And this is like where we're playing with Jimmy. We're like, what is it?
72.
Yep. Ding, ding, ding. Very good. Cabaret.
Yes,
Cabaret.
I also haven't watched that one. Bobby Ibarra got it.
Very good, Bobby Barra. Ding, 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 ding. Bobby Barra, you get points.
Yes.
You get a new car. You get a new car. So Cabaret. Cabaret was just incredible. And so it says life is a cabaret. Wonderful musical. Very cool. Gizmo, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being such a supporter of the channel. Even when we're like struggling, like Gizmo's like, I'm here for you. Even if he's got it playing in the background, I love it. So thank you, Gizmo. You're amazing. Same to you, Mark Stan. Thank you for being here.
John Scott as well.
Come on, call me out for my self-shout.
We did, Mark Sands.
We did. We love you, Mark Sands.
You're the
man. All right. So what do you know about Cabaret just off the top of your head? Chat, what do y'all know about Cabaret off the top of your heads?
That it's also like very stylized, I think. Like it's famous for its obviously like the style of the cabaret and the
camp.
Yeah. And I guess the lighting, right? Like it from what I've seen, it's like very like direct focused light with
because they're on stage after all, right?
Yeah. With its, vibrant colors.
And it's also like if I'm not mistaken, I'll pull up the exact plot, but I think this is like World War II, like post World War II, like because I think they're going back in time, and I think it's about exploring sexuality during like the cabaret era, which was like this period of self-expression.
Bobby said during the pre-war Germany.
That's what it was, pre-war Germany.
That's
Sorry,
cool.
ding, 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 you got it. That's why I was like, let me be iffy about this, but it's the way it was depicted. So it's not necessarily like the time that it's taking place in, although that's very important for the plot in terms of like the way people are depicted on screen. So this was like there are gay characters in it, and like they're unapologetically so, right? What I think is interesting is like how little we do still talk about it in the mainstream right now. Maybe because of those like a culture war kind of going on.
Yeah,
but people don't necessarily want to feel like they're part of a culture war. They just kind of want to just exist and exist in the world.
Yeah.
So Cabaret, this was Liza Minnelli, and Liza Minnelli was a gay icon, but her mom, Judy Garland. Did you know that was her mom?
No.
So her mom was Judy Garland.
Wow.
So her mom like was the ultimate gay icon. So that helped in terms of like her casting. But she
passed
also
the torch.
Yeah. So she could command this audience here.
Liza Minnelli, she's very stunning as well. Like she has this very recognizable, iconic face to her.
She really does. I saw her live in Fort Worth at the Symphony Center. Uh-huh.
And yeah, I mean, she's also like very, very known.
We are friends of Judy. That's right. So Bobby, he's alluding to like if you were gay back in the day,
yeah,
like the way you would say that without like people knowing. You say, "Are you a friend of Dorothy?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like he's saying we're friends of Judy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't seen Judy, I recommend that too.
Yeah.
But again, this isn't Judy Garland, but this is her daughter, Eliza Minnelli. So this is directed by the very famous Bob Fosse. And Bob Fosse was famous for his choreography. He did so many different things. If I'm not mistaken, he's the guy who he had a film that inspired like all of he played like the serpent in the desert who was like trying to tempt Christ. Okay. And he did all these moves, and it was literally all of Michael Jackson's moves.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. You guys let me know if y'all have heard of this. And they made a television show called Fosse Verdon that explored like Bob Fosse and his wife. But anyway, this is from 1972. It's a musical masterpiece set in 1931. Yeah, that's right. Pre-war. Berlin. It contrasts the wild hedonistic lifestyle of the Kit Kat Club with the terrifying rise of the Nazi Party. The film won 8 Academy Awards, including Best Director and Best Actress for Liza Minnelli.
Wow.
Based on Christopher Isherwood's Goodbye to Berlin, the hit Broadway musical and the story centers on Sally Bowles, or Liza Minnelli, a charismatic but doomed American singer. She befriends Brian Roberts, a British academic. Their bohemian romance is complicated when they are both seduced by a wealthy bisexual German baron. That's like a really famous scene too. Like when that book comes out, it's like, wow. I was like, I can't believe this is from the early 70s.
Yeah.
And again, this was coming out of like the Code era cinema, and like it was more explicitly gay and lesbian characters, and like and more celebratory and more fun. And this movie, the cultural impact, it's widely credited for reinventing the musical genre by tackling dark, mature themes like political apathy, sexual fluidity, and anti-Semitism. Liza Minnelli's career-defining performance with her trademark dark bob that she has, you can see it, on her little. So she doesn't have like long flowing hair, but she has a bob. It's very like flappery. It's like during the flapper era. The flappers were like in the 20s, and then it's taking place in 1931.
Yeah.
So, and her Bauer hat became an enduring pop culture icon. So a lot of people, if you go to like a gay themed party that's like Halloween or something, you'll see someone inevitably dressed up like her. Do you need to go to the bathroom?
No, I was just connecting to.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, I got my bucket.
I got my bucket.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is and there was a really famous, I'll cut to like one of the most biggest examples of like affirming gay content that's coming out of this era.
Yeah.
And it was called Making Love.
Okay.
And Making Love was totally, this is 10 years later. It was in 1982. And this movie was so controversial because in some ways, like society started to get a little bit more like conservative again. Because you got to remember, this is after all of like the protesting and stuff that took place.
Yeah.
And so this really affected like the career of the main actor, because he wasn't gay, but he portrayed a gay character.
Oh, that's interesting.
But people, this movie, people have a lot of goodwill for this movie, because it took so much guts, to make this movie. So here are pictures of Cabaret. We're going to take these off the screen for you guys. And we're going to wrap this up. So if you guys would like to leave a super chat, please do.
Please do so, guys.
Yeah, we're doing a fundraiser for Jimmy's housing over here. Okay, so we're going to show you Making Love. So you've not heard of this movie, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, this movie is really, really, really fascinating, because it explores sexuality, just all these different things that, there was a lot of fear that we were going to kind of turn away from these topics in the 80s. So the fact that they made the movie was like a triumph in and of itself.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Mark Sands. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark Sands. What did he say? He said, really hope Jimmy again. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Great chemistry when he's awake. Agree.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
I agree. Listen, we all love Jimmy. We're all like in mourning because we love Jimmy. We love him being around. He's just such a ball of energy and hope and just like the power of youth and, you know, him learning stuff and, and, you know, us making it educational, whether he wants it to be or not, is always fun.
Yeah.
Thank
you, Mark.
So here's one of the posters from Making Love. It says, after 8 years of marriage, Claire had everything, a loving husband and an exciting career. Suddenly, Claire's whole world is threatened when she learns that her husband is involved in a love affair, but not with another woman. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
Making Love is a sensitive story of a courageous husband and wife who deal honestly with their problems. There's more to love than making love.
That's I mean,
that's like for 1982, like that was shocking.
I was gonna say that, like, this feels like a plot that was almost like a thing that must have been made yes or yes, but since it was in the 80s, it's like,
no,
wow,
this was like this was a lot of people were like, this is a career ender.
Right.
The main actor, his team was like, do not do this movie.
Yeah.
His team was like, don't do it, bro. Like, don't do it.
Right.
Because it was so controversial.
Yeah.
But I think in many ways it was probably ahead of its time. Not that I'm like, you know, no one's promoting anything. It's just like, this is stuff that happens.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like, you know, it's usually you constantly hear about the woman finding out that her husband's got a mistress. Oh, if he's got a mister, that's a very different story.
Yeah.
That's right. Harry Hamlin. Ding, ding, ding. Bobby Barra. That's right. Bobby Barra, you know your stuff. So Harry Hamlin is a very beautiful actor, but he's heterosexual and he's playing this role.
Cool.
And this was a very, daring role to make. And this is where we're kind of entering the era of like acceptance. Doesn't mean that we didn't have bumps in the road since then, but Making Love. And there was a lesbian film called Personal Best that came out that was around the same time. So the end of formal censorship did not, instantly create like humane representation across the board, not by any means, but the closet opened and characters emerged carrying like decades of shame and stereotypes. So in this movie, obviously the whole plot is they understand that the plot itself is controversial, right?
Yeah.
Because if it was just a woman, it's like, okay, I mean, we've seen that story before.
Exactly.
But by making it a man, it was like, dang.
Yeah.
And so, so The Boys in the Band is viewed as like groundbreaking because of the gay men were the central plot.
Yeah.
The pain, it was painful because at the end, the cruelty was like, and it was like self-inflicted. There's a lot of self-loathing.
Yeah.
It was very historically honest, going back to Boys in the Band. And this is why you have to watch it. You guys let me know in the chat if you've seen Boys in the Band. But it can be limited because the audience mistakes environments for like all gay life. So some people saw Boys in the Band and they're like, okay, this is the way all gay men are. And I'm like, no, but that's what I was telling you, Mars. Like, you'll see like bits of me or bits of people that inside of these characters because they did their best to like,
encompass.
Encompass, because it wasn't like they were honest about like these gay men are deeply flawed because they're all freaking traumatized by what they grew up with.
True. Yeah.
Harry Hamlin was in Clash of the Titans. He really was. That's that claymation early version of Clash of the Titans. It's so much fun. If you haven't seen it, there's like a whole skeleton army. So fun.
I think I watched that.
It's really good. I mean, it's actually like really fun.
Yeah.
And then this movie just kind of just blew the doors open and it was just wild. It wasn't necessarily like a critical or what a success necessarily or commercial success. But I remember this was like, wow, like just people still talking about this.
No, I think we watched these movies with so like appreciative eyes because it was like very, daring for its time, but at the same time, it's now like still a fresh watch and it feels like so amazingly cool to watch these movies.
So this is Arthur Hiller, who's the director. It holds an important place in cinema history as the very first mainstream Hollywood film to be distributed by a major studio, which was 20th Century Fox, to focus on a romantic gay relationship and the coming out process. Zach, a successful Los Angeles oncologist, and Claire, are a thriving television network executive, have been happily married for 8 years and are planning to start a family. Zach has suppressed his attraction to men for years. His life changes when he meets Harry Hamlin, an openly gay, commitment-shy novelist who comes to the office for a medical checkup because he's an oncologist. Zach and Bart begin a passionate but emotionally turbulent affair. Racked with guilt as his absence grows, Zach eventually resolves to tell Claire the truth about his sexuality, throwing their marriage into turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the time, playing a gay character was considered a massive career risk in Hollywood. Numerous A-list actors turned down the roles because of before these two guys, Hamlin and Ankian, accepted them. Screenwriters Barry Sandler and A. Scott Berg intentionally set out to portray gay characters as relatable, everyday people.
Mm-hmm.
Up until then, Hollywood usually depicted gay individuals as tragic, villainous, or comedic relief, as we've discussed. And so like the fact that they were just like regular people, like that was just groundbreaking in and of themselves. Like they didn't need to be, they just needed to be like, normal and like well adjusted to society.
Yeah.
Author Arthur Hiller purposely filmed the romantic scenes between the two men with the same tenderness and lighting typically reserved for traditional Hollywood boy-girl romances.
Okay.
While highly controversial and progressive in 1982, modern critics often view the film as a bit dated, safe, and melodramatic. Because the studio feared a backlash, the dialogue and tone were heavily sanitized to make it palatable for mainstream audiences.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't perform well at the box office initially, but it remains a milestone for LGBT representation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true, because it's part of the problems with the film was like you went there, but you didn't go far enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I think is always like the situation. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
True.
Bobby Barra is stuck on the Kraken. So yeah, Harry Hamlin is like most famous for being in Clash of the Titans. Mario, do you think flawed queer characters feel more human or more dangerous historically? Like whenever you see the characters that are portrayed, are they more like human or dangerous?
When I see like the past characters, I think I see that some of them are actually or might actually be quite harmful if we think about them from the perspective of the type of character that they're portraying, in along with that being queer, because I mean at the end of the day they were trying to maybe minimize them or ridicule them, but with more recent cinema, I do think that the flawed characters are actually more natural in a way. Like you could encounter, I mean, you wouldn't encounter like a perfect person in the real world, and much less in a movie, right? Where drama has to be like the main thing, or it depends, right? But my point is, I do think that we're also progressively seeing this idea of a queer person as a more human person, even because the idea before it was that they weren't even at the same level as the rest of the people, and so I think we're starting to change that viewpoint, and I'm so happy, because it's like, yeah, I mean, you also don't have to confuse the two things and thinking that if a queer person is flawed, it's because they're queer and not because they're a person at the end of the day. So I think that's the idea that we should get rid of and just start seeing, flawed characters as human characters and not,
It's like they were used to be in such strict boxes.
I think so, yeah.
And it was like it had to be the point.
Yeah,
and it's like it wasn't the side plot. Like that was the thing. It's like it's tragedy or it's this
or he's the killer or whatever. That at the end of the day plants like an idea, like a subconscious idea in people's mind. I do think that, and we shouldn't like put them in these categories that are like inherently restrictive.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. So our next film, and this is going to be one of our last ones, because this is entering like the true like understanding, like the after acceptance is like understanding all of the stuff that happened with the gay community, which was the AIDS crisis. Now, have you heard of Philadelphia? Have you heard of this movie?
I think I have. I haven't watched it, but
it's very famous for a variety of reasons. Because Tom Hanks took on the role, first of all. His lover in it is Antonio Banderas. And so it's loaded with stars. So if you guys haven't seen Philadelphia, like you're in for a treat if you watch this movie. Very, very powerful film. So you can see on screen we have him and Antonio Banderas when they're doing some press for the film. So I'm gonna pull this up. But this is about a guy who's he's dying of AIDS, and it's about him and his partner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Philadelphia is from 1993. So we're like jumping. There's like one movie from each decade that can kind of really help you understand like where we were.
Yeah.
Not that all of society or even all of Hollywood or all of the entertainment industry was on the same page, let's say, but it's like it gave us an insight into like what we could do, especially when you had this big of an actor or a group of actors participating in a movie. So Philadelphia is a 1993 historic Oscar-winning legal drama. It was one of the first major Hollywood films to directly confront the HIV/AIDS issue, homophobia, and workplace discrimination.
Okay, yeah.
So the plot follows Andrew Beckett, played by Tom Hanks, a brilliant senior associate at a prestigious Philadelphia law firm, where his conservative bosses discover that he has AIDS. They fabricate a reason to fire him, which was very typical. Beckett decides to sue for wrongful termination, but no local lawyer will take his case. He turns to Joe Miller, Denzel Washington's character, a small-time personal injury lawyer. Miller initially refuses due to his own homophobia and fear of the disease, which I think is such a great plot point. Like he actually ends up becoming his lawyer, but at the beginning, he himself has homophobia, and however, after witnessing Beckett suffer blatant discrimination firsthand, Miller changes his mind and takes the case to court. It was directed by Jonathan Demme. The movie, so it's the same director as Silence of the Lambs, and I think Rachel at the Wedding. I think he did Rachel at the Wedding, or maybe that was a woman.
Does anybody in chat knows? No.
Or is it Rachel? It's called Rachel Getting Married, and it's Jonathan Demme. Yep, it's Jonathan Demme. So, all right. So yeah, so it was huge. It had a huge impact. I mean, confronting this topic was so avoided in mainstream, but although it was a big issue for society.
And yeah, I mean, obviously I can see why, but
right.
Because that was like a whole crisis, right? Like,
I mean, huge. I mean, there were the kids in swimming pools, and somebody would say, "So and so has AIDS," and like people would run like the whole. I mean, you got to watch their Oprah episodes where it was panic. It was like mass panic, and because people just didn't understand it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean,
and it just fed homophobia, and it was
stigma.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaking time.
Yeah.
So, the screenplay was inspired in part by a landmark 1987 discrimination lawsuit filed by attorney Jeffrey Bowers. It won 2 Oscars. Tom Hanks won his very first Best Actor Academy Award. Bruce Springsteen won Best Original Song for the iconic track Streets of Philadelphia. So this movie is I think it's pretty straightforward in terms of what the story is. But his lover in this is Antonio Banderas.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I love how you're like, okay, cool. Yeah.
No, I mean,
no, I'm joking. But it discusses like issues of sympathy with mainstream characters, heterosexual like these are all heterosexual men, right? Serving as entry points to like allow the audience to have the suspension of disbelief to believe in in this story. So yeah, it's a totally sad movie. Mark Sands, 100%. Yeah. Insurance companies were dirtbags. You mean are? Yeah.
I was gonna say like I just
but for a super chat, we will Mark Sands.
Like he has been in these roles, like Antonio Banderas has been on these roles that are, somewhat challenging as well. I mean, challenging because of the idea that they're, portraying.
I think there was a point when I was younger and I used to think like, oh, that's Oscar bait or But I was like, actually, no, like it's straight up brave. Because like there are people that have taken these chances on these types of roles and have paid the price for it.
Yeah.
So I actually do find, I do think that there's a lot of merit in taking on these roles.
Yeah.
And also just like telling stories that need to be told. It's a real thing. Philadelphia was an enormous cultural milestone, and many questions remain, like why was a character suffering more visible than his intimacy? Because they don't show as much intimacy with his partner Antonio Banderas. Was the film primarily about him or about changing a straight man's prejudice? Was it more about like Tom Hanks' character or the lawyer Denzel Washington, like overcome his own prejudice.
Mm.
And there's also like the idea of him being a black lawyer too, and maybe inherently understanding, you know, the idea of being, you know, living with lifelong prejudice.
Yeah.
And did casting a beloved straight star help audiences empathize? I think absolutely. And then what did mainstream acceptance demand in exchange? You know, so it's very interesting because I think this film can be dismissed for people thinking it was like Oscar bait or whatever. When the reality is that it was a story that had to be told.
Yeah.
It says AZT is a safe word and effective drug, right? Oh, AZT. That was something that they were giving at the time, like before, like the current cocktail of medicines.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think AZT. Tell me, John Scott. Tell me about AZT. Remind me, because this was like the they were coming out with revolutionary medicines to treat these diseases. And this is just for chat. This is like, did Philadelphia change anyone's family or community? Because some people like it sparked conversations with family members, with moms, with their dads, with their sister, with their brother, about that. And then I'm going to pull up one more movie, and this is called Longtime Companion.
I also haven't heard of that one.
This one is really beautiful characters. AZT was put ahead of adequate testing. That's right, Bobby Barra.
Okay.
Thank you for breaking that down.
Thank you.
Yeah, AZT was like the experimental drug.
This was the 80s, right?
This next movie?
No, the previous one?
That was actually 1993.
Oh, okay.
This one, we're actually going to go back to 1989.
Okay.
And this one actually has the guy who was the killer in the second to last Scream. He was also in My Best Friend's Wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Dermot Mulroney. But this has some beautiful actors in it too. Super chat just for beautiful actors.
Yeah.
But there's just this one image. Every time you look up this movie, this is always the image that comes up. So I'm always laughing because I've looked this movie up again and again over the years. And it's like men hugging on the beach. I think it's about Fire Island, which was like a big gay hub.
Yeah,
Have you heard of Fire Island?
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but yeah.
Yeah.
From like 2018.
Well, there's probably a movie that's named Fire Island. I mean, like Fire Island is an actual place. That like I think Longtime Companion was
because there are
taking place.
Then I do think that there's a movie. I think.
Yeah, I believe. I mean, I'd be surprised if there wasn't at this point.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I've not heard of this one, to be honest. But guys, have you watched it?
Well, this is why we're teaching Mario.
Yeah,
Mario's not part of the community. He's an ally, but it was interesting because I was like, you know, this is like a topic that we've got to like cover.
No, yeah,
and then we're getting better as we go through, like how we cover these topics.
Yeah,
but Longtime Companion is a really famous film.
It seems like a lovely film as well.
It is. So this one is it's a landmark 1989 romantic drama film and the first wide release theatrical movie, like wide released, direct to address the AIDS epidemic itself. Norman Renee was the director of the movie. Thank you, Mark Sands. He says, you got me. Brokeback Mountain needs to be discussed. Thank you, Mark Sands. I agree. You guys help us reach we won't reset it. This is 5 super chats. This helps us out a ton. Thank you, Mark Sands. This chronicles the devastating impact of the crisis on a close-knit group of gay men and their friends in New York City and Fire Island. The narrative spans night from 1981 to 1989, showing one specific day each year. It starts with the very first New York Times mention of a mysterious gay cancer. That's what they called it back then. It was gay cancer.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever heard that?
No. Wow.
That's if you look. I mean, that's what everybody called it. And it follows the characters as panic turns into harrowing reality. Longtime Companion stems from the bureaucratic euphemism used by newspapers like the New York Times in the 1980s. They used it in obituaries to avoid acknowledging a deceased gay member's actual partner. So they would say like he is survived by a longtime companion, you know, Brent or whatever. So it was a term that it was a euphemism. But there are some really great actors in this. Bruce Davison, Campbell Scott, Dermot Mulroney, Mary Louise Parker. Mary Louise Parker, she's been in a lot of stuff, but did you ever watch that movie that Jimmy did some scenes from where he's like, I'm Mark Sway, the little boy who's where she's like where the lawyer is Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, no, I didn't fully watch it. No.
Okay, so but you should. Mary Louise Parker is an amazing actress.
Yeah.
It says everything will come out, but probably not in our lifetimes. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about, but I think they're talking about like there's a lot of talk about how AIDS was manufactured itself to try to like kill off the gay community too. It says I took care of a lot of AIDS patients. Most died. Wow. Yeah, they usually died of like just horrific stuff. Bobby Barra, thank you for sharing that though, because it needs to be told, and I think that's why these movies. There's scenes in this I didn't include here, but it shows people like dying in their beds and things like that. Things that, that it's like, it has to be told so that we understand the historical, relevance.
Yeah.
But now, a longtime companion.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting how there are so many movies out there. They're just so many.
Definitely. So I do appreciate also the recommendations. The list is never ending, but that's also a good thing because there's always going to be like more movies.
And you can do movie marathons too, where you can be, that's why movies they take so long to develop and make.
Yeah.
But once they're, I still to this day find it amazing how you can tell a story in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Like you can cover so much ground and cover so much intimacy, and there's still much so left to be said about it because they'll make a movie and the movie's 90 minutes, but they have to spend like 2 years promoting it. I remember like this Wicked tour, or the Devil Wears Prada tour. I'm like, y'all spending way more time promoting it than you did making it.
True. Yeah.
Which makes sense,
Yeah.
All right, so. Due to Mark Sands demands, we're going to cover Brokeback Mountain. Which, speaking of the Devil Wears Prada, did you know do you remember Anne Hathaway's in that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and she just has this scene where she's just like, she's very like stoic about the death of her husband.
Yeah.
And Michelle Williams was in it, and she was like. Remember how she was like Jack Nasty? Do you remember that? Did you see that? Did you see the movie?
Yeah. Like, this is like one of the also most known movies, that have like these themes openly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so here's Brokeback Mountain. Bobby Barra, thank you for telling us these stories. This is
thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, Reagan delayed looking into it as an epidemic. It's so true. Yeah, there were so many controversies around the AIDS crisis that it was just next level devastating. So much of this stuff is like, here's your film class, because you can study queer cinema study. Did they offer that in your school, like that specific, like a class on that? Because it's a whole thing.
No, not that specific class, but I mean, there's like a lot of it. I mean, you could cover like a whole.
This movie like will break your freaking heart, like right? So you've seen this, so this movie is just like.
Yeah.
Will like shatter you because you're like, dang, like you might not have any empathy for this group, but then after you watch this movie, you're like,
exactly.
I mean, this movie, I was in the theater, I was in tears. I was just, it was just a devastating film.
Yeah.
And it was so brave for the actors to do it. I think at this point though, it became easier for them to do it.
I think so, but at the same time, it still was, like a very big deal.
It says, my uncle died from AIDS from a blood transfusion after a heart operation. Wow, Rob, that's wild. Then his wife contracted it from him and passed away. Rob, I'm so sorry to hear about that.
That's so tragic.
That's really tragic. That's like worst case scenario. Dag Overhaul, I'll have to check out The Cure. That's wild. The Cure, it says The Cure was a great movie. We'll check it out. I'm glad you guys are making recommendations. This is good.
Wow.
So, Brokeback Mountain is a landmark American neo-Western romantic drama filmed by Ang Lee. He also did Sense and Sensibility, among other things, that chronicles a complex, secretive 20-year romantic relationship between two cowboys in the American West, starring Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal. It was adapted by Larry McMurtry and Diana Osana from a 1997 short story. It's widely considered one of the most influential and groundbreaking LGBTQ plus films of the 21st century, which makes total sense.
Yeah.
It was also just done so well. It takes place in 1963, Wyoming. Taciturn Ranch hands Ledger an open, flexible rodeo cowboy, Jack Twist. I remember his name, Jack Twist, are hired by a local rancher to herd sheep on an isolated Brokeback Mountain. Over months of isolation, their quiet friendship evolves into a passionate, deeply emotional, and physical relationship. After the summer ends, they return to society, marry their respective sweethearts, portrayed by Michelle Williams and Anne Hathaway, and start families. 4 years later, they connect and begin a sporadic, decades-long affair. They frame their secret rendezvous as fishing trips to hide from a deeply conservative, violent, and homophobic society, which is totally... Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing your story, by the way.
No, yeah, thank you.
This is like therapy, guys. We share our stories here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rob.
So thank you, Rob. Seriously. We got three more. We're making it happen. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. Mario's like, no Toledo, right? So they describe their secret rendezvous as fishing trips to hide it from their love from the deeply conservative, violent, and homophobic society. The relationship remains trapped in limbo until it's cut short by a sudden tragedy, leaving behind an enduring legacy of regret, love, and grief. The core themes of the movie are repression versus identity, the heavy toll of hiding one's truth, to survive in an oppressive, unaccepting environment, Ennis's profound fear of being discovered, rooted in a traumatic childhood memory of a hate crime, and the sprawling, wild landscapes of Wyoming serve as the only place where the two men can experience total freedom and authenticity. And the movie obviously got the gay cowboy label. The gay cowboy movie, right? The film subverted traditional cowboy expectations by depicting hyper-masculine Western archetypes in a tender, vulnerable romance. The film received 8 Academy Award nominations. Ang Lee won Best Director, while the film also secured Oscars for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score. Its loss of Best Picture to Crash remains one of the most debated upsets in Oscar history. I think Crash was an amazing film too. So I think they both were really good, and they both were dealing with like oppression in society. Yeah. Right. So they both had some similar themes. Rob, me too. Rob, you have no idea. Like I cry myself to sleep. Seriously, Rob, thank you for supporting the channel. Seriously,
thank you, Rob.
You have no idea. I was like, you have no idea. But the movie popularized iconic cinematic lines, most notably Jack's devastating quote. Do you remember his quote from that movie? I wish I could.
I think I watched it in Spanish.
He says, I wish I could quit you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it became like memed because it was very powerful. Like, I wish I knew how to quit you. Like, I wish I knew how to get over you. And like that attraction. And that's Heath Ledger's character telling Jake Gyllenhaal's character that, like, I wish I could overcome, my desire and to be with you. And so it was it's very tragic. It's just a very, very tragic thing. Very tragic movie. It's just, the whole thing is just so sad. Gosh, gee whiz. But again, that movie, it kind of goes, I'm mentioning it because Mark Sands brought it up, and it's a great movie, but it wasn't necessarily on the trajectory of like the Celluloid Closet because it came out like a decade after. But the reason why it's so, relevant is because it goes back to some of the things that showcasing like the characters always ending in tragedy, but also showing the beauty of the love and the relationship. But go on, what were you
and obviously the development of the storytelling way of portraying these characters.
Absolutely.
This is more like tender almost.
Absolutely tender.
well, maybe at the earliest stages of it, it was, just to mock or
when this movie came
hide it.
out, I think we were really entering an era like of acceptance. I think there
Yeah.
was still like people were still saying stuff like that's okay or da 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 da.
Mhm.
But there was something very powerful about this. The
Mhm.
next time you speak to Jimmy, please tell him I'm asking for him. Rob, I
Thank
will
you.
100%. You got it. 100%.
Thank you,
You guys
Rob.
were 2 away. We're 2 away. Mario, can you believe it? We're just 2 away.
Yes, so please, guys.
So
Thank you, Rob.
Yes. So thank you, Rob. So movies that came out after, after the release of the Celluloid Closet, the main ones were The Birdcage, this movie Bound,
Mhm.
Happy Together, Fire, Chasing Amy, But I'm a Cheerleader, and Boys Don't
Mhm.
Cry, All About My Mother from Pedro Almodovar, Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mark Sands. You guys, super chats really will help him be able to come back because there's just a lot involved. And you guys know how money doesn't make the world go round, but it greases the wheel.
Yeah.
Will and Grace, the television show, Queer as Folk,
Mhm.
6 Feet Under, The L Word, Angels in America, and then Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
So, there are so many different talking points about this, but some of the prestige movies that came out later, like A Single Man or Milk.
Mhm.
And then, there's so many things recently like Tangerine and Carol.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like it keeps the legacy of like LGBT characters in film. You guys, let's get 2 more before we head out.
Yes.
And the last, yes, let's go. And then the latest is like Moonlight, Handmaid's Tale, Call Me by Your Name, God's Own Country. Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
I need a
Let's
hero.
go.
Yay.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank
Mark
you so much,
Sands.
guys. Y'all are amazing.
You're the man. You're the mans.
You're the man. It's like, remember that movie, I Love You, Man? It's like,
Yeah.
I love you,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I love you, man. It's like about friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, man. Seriously. I love you, man. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys so much. So there are so many different, this is a topic. You could just pick a movie and spend the whole time talking about that one movie.
I love that about film as well.
Me too. It's one of the
never ending.
Never ending. So it's like, how far have we come since the Celluloid Closet? Well, we weren't able to show it here. We weren't able to do like play our little clips. But we got to say like just a few seconds of it at the very beginning of the live stream. So if you guys are playing it back, obviously, if you made it this far, we had some technical difficulties, but
thank you for standing
we
by,
muscled
guys.
through it, guys. We muscled through it. Can you believe it?
Thank you, guys. And I love the recommendations and your stories, guys. So thank you.
Yeah.
We do appreciate that a lot.
These movies mean so much to people, and as part of a larger global conversation, like from South Korea and Japan and Pakistan, Kenya, India, Taiwan, Mexico, Argentina, Morocco, and beyond. Like there are films that explore these topics. We're touching on mostly Western films. Some people brought up some European films, but it really goes beyond Hollywood into the global conversation.
Yeah.
So images really help move society forward. It's so important, and so that's why we're talking about them here. So thank you guys for being here with us. We're gonna go get some sleep, and you guys, it says I wish I had seen more movies in my lifetime. Well, Rob, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. You can go to bed and watch like 3 movies back to back to back. It just depends on how much. I don't know how much sleep do you need. So I'm at a stage where I try to catch up and watch movies, or if there's a movie I just kind of missed, I'll go back and try to get that into my canon of my knowledge. So yeah, right, Rob. There's never too late. Just because you didn't watch it when it came out doesn't mean you can't appreciate it. Mario, these movies that he loves, at least everyone that was involved is long gone.
Yeah.
Like from the night, like strangers on a train.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Laura.
Mark Sands, don't forget, we won't.
No,
Mark Sands, one more super chat for Weekend. We're gonna check out Weekend. So I remember that whole plot. Weekend, 48 hours. They meet up at a bar. They spend 48 hours together. They have all these connections, and it changes like their perceptions of intimacy and how they're going to live their lives. I'm going to check it out. And then they're in Nottingham. I think it was Nottingham, in England. Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you guys so much. All right, we're going to do the countdown. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, everyone.
But with you guys, I would rather watch with you guys. Rob, same here.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And let's talk about that house too.
Like have a conversation.
Mm-hmm. All right, sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. You got it, Bobby Barra. We love you. Mwah. All right, guys. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We love you guys.
Yay.
Bye.
Thank
you,
you,
Mark Sands. Yay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bobby
Mark
Barra, you want to
Sands.
be the last one? I'm
Thank you
pushing
so
the button.
much.
I'm pushing the end button. You guys can still do it like up to a minute after we go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Rob, thank you, Mark Sands. Thank you, Bobby Barra. You guys are amazing.
Good night, Gizmo.
Good night, Gizmo. Good night. Mwah. Bye, guys. We
Good
love
night,
you.
guys. Bye.
Bye. Don't forget, you can get one more in there. You guys can get one more in there. Bobby Barra, I'm looking at you. End of Casablanca. He's looking at you, kid. He's looking at you, kid. Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Mario, for being a trooper. Did you learn some
Thank
stuff
you.
today?
Yeah, no, I love to expand my knowledge and also the movies that I can watch always, you know.
Yeah, now you've
So-
got like Boys in the Band in there.
Yeah.
You know, we have Weekend from Mark
Weekend
Sands
from Mark
recommendation
Sands,
from
yeah.
2011.
Yeah, like all these great movies.
Yeah.
Cabaret. I was intrigued by it.
Oh, yeah, you love Cabaret. Yeah, Cabaret is iconic. Cabaret, Cabaret, Cabaret.
Yeah, no,
And
yeah.
so there's historical context in there as well. Really good stuff. Longtime Companion is a great one.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Philadelphia is like required viewing. Thank you, Bobby Barra.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby.
Bobby. All right, so Bobby, go check out Company, the musical. It starts off with the song Bobby. So thank you
Yeah.
guys so much.
Thank
Really,
you,
we
guys.
appreciate you so much.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
keeping us going. Don't forget to like and subscribe from all your YouTube channels that you have.
Please do so.
Make sure you like, and it helps us so much to like and subscribe from all the different channels if you have multiple emails. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Y'all have a
you,
lovely
guys.
evening.
Ciao, Bobby.
Ciao, bella. Bye, guys.
Adios.